All right. Here we go. We got a interesting one for you guys tonight. We're going to discuss a couple different things. We are going to discuss the exploding mic theory that it came out, I think, a week or two ago. I haven't just got around to it. Very, very interesting. We're going to watch the video of Triggersmart, who had John Bray on. It's John Bray's theory. What I'm going to try to do with this one is really contextualize this video for you guys. There's very complicated stuff in this video that I think most viewers probably didn't even understand when John was going through this. And so that's what we're going to aim to do is I'm going to give a bunch of context to shape charges, and like we're going to go through different videos, show you how all this stuff actually works in practice when it comes to the theory of the mic exploding and using a shape charge and all these different things. So that should help give more context to understanding the exploding mic theory, which is very, very interesting. There is some big issues with it, for sure, and we're obviously going to tackle those as we go. And then after that, once we get through that, we are going to we're going to take a look at another Triggersmart video. He actually went out and tested Frangible rounds, and the results are not shocking, but very interesting. I am feeling a little bit better. Thank you, Devil the Nate Dog. Appreciate you. Still a little bit under the weather, but I am doing better than I have been doing. Okay. So we'll give a couple minutes, let everybody funnel in. A lot of big shows going on tonight. Ian's live, Baron's live, everybody's live. So we'll probably get viewers trickling in as they finish. I think Ian's been live for like 7 hours at this point. Going hard. Going absolutely hard in the paint. What a savage. Okay. Now, let me let's do a poll first. I want to know who's actually even seen this video or even seen the theory already. So let's start with this. Seen the exploding mic theory. Now, this is not the lapel mic. This is not the lapel mic theory. This is a different theory, okay? This is essentially a mic battery hooked down here that we're going to talk about. So first things first is a poll. Let me know who's actually watched this video already, who's familiar with John Bray's theory. And if you haven't, that's fine. We're going to go through the whole thing together. But if you have, that's going to be good too. Because I promise you're going to learn some things in this video. For sure. Okay. It's not the pager theory, okay? But the pager, the exploding pagers is going to be relevant to this theory because what the exploding pagers, the Hezbollah pagers, shows is that you could potentially fit an explosive device that could do this in a pager-sized object. We know that to be true, just based off of what we saw Israel do with Hezbollah. Excuse me. So it will be relevant as we move forward through this, okay? All right, we're a couple minutes in. We could probably get started, and so what we're going to do, we're just going to work our way through, start to finish on this video, and I'm going to explain everything as we go. We'll stop, we'll pause, we'll take a look at other different videos, some example videos of what shape charges actually look like, damage they can do, all sorts of different things like that. All right, so should be a good one. All right, we're gonna definitely cover some very complicated things in this one, but that's all right. All right, let's jump into it, and let's get started. Let's kick this thing off, and let's start working our way through Triggersmart's video here, and we'll talk about this exploding mic theory as we go. All right, I don't want to get too over our skis. Oh, yes, just got a reminder from the wife. 1 second here. We have orders of business. Can I pull this up? We have all of the America First merch back in stock. The hats are back in stock. My wife got some new things. She got crew necks. All right, for the ladies. So we got those. So I'll put this here in the pinned comment, and then we're jumping into the episode, and we are gonna get rolling. All right, let me do that real quick. And then we're kicking the episode off. All right. Now, let's see real quick how many of you guys. It's like about half and half. Half and half have seen this, half have not. So that's okay. All right, let's jump into it. And again, we're just going to go start to finish, stopping as we're going to go so I can explain, give context to things, talk about where I have issues, where I think things are super interesting. Okay. Let's jump into it and let's get started. Let's do this, guys. All right. Here we go.
All right, let's go ahead and bring our guest on. Welcome, John. Did you want to introduce yourself?
I'm John Bray, John Aaron Bray on X.
And John has been very in-depth covering the microphone theory, and he has a lot
I'm going to let John introduce himself real quick before we sort of parse our way through the clips of the video.
of data to back it up. He has some visuals, and it's basically been his day one theory. Did you want to tell us kind of like how you got into, like what made you kind of go this route? Not super in detail, but just kind of like a high level.
Well, immediately I saw the video and I thought it was AI because it just looked so strange to me. And then my background's in body armor. I developed the refurbishing program for the Army for their IOTVs, OTVs. So I saw how his shirt deformed, and I was certain that he had body armor on. But within the end of the day, it was pretty obvious they didn't. So I started to basically run analysis on it, and that led me to the microphone. The only other thing that could really convince me is that he was shot in the chest. That's the from the physical, evidence and the energetic kind of dispersion.
All right, let me explain, because it's a little bit complicated to understand what John's theory actually is. So let me explain sort of the 30,000 foot view of it before we go forward, so you're not like, what the hell is he talking about? Essentially, the idea is you had a microphone, one of the Rode microphones, right, where the battery housing mechanism is to it, much like the size of a pager, that's hooked to Charlie here in the chest. Now, we know that he did have this on him. And the idea is that this device had a shape charge in it. And trust me, I'm going to go through all the videos. I'm going to explain exactly how a shape charge works as we go. So don't worry. And the idea is the shape charge that's hooked up to him. Think about kind of like an IED, an improvised explosive device. Okay. The shape charge detonates and actually hits him in the chest. The actual shape charge hits him in the chest, and fragmentation, when the housing mechanism, the plastic housing mechanism, explodes from that device going off, a piece of that fragment is what comes up and hits Charlie Kirk in the neck. Okay. So that's, again, this is 30,000 foot view, and we're going to get way more in detail with this as we go. But that's sort of the 30,000 foot view into what he's about to explain.
That's the only thing that could make any sense to me.
What about some people talking about a round coming in and hitting his necklace and bouncing up?
I just find that really unlikely. It's just the other
Back up a little bit here.
Kind of dispersion. That's the only thing that could make any sense to me.
What about some people talking about a round coming in and hitting his necklace and bouncing up?
I just find that really unlikely. It's just the other objects that are involved in the movement. It just.
Okay, so Triggersmart's first question here is, what about the pendant? People thought maybe a round actually hit the pendant. I want to bring your attention to this 1/2-inch steel plate that I shot with my 30-06, as you can see, blew through this 1/2-inch steel. The idea that a little tiny pendant on a necklace is going to stop or refract a 30-06 round is not possible. It's just not a thing, to John's point here. So anyway, we'll keep moving. again, we're going to stop as we go, give context to this as we move through it.
The energy doesn't align to that sort of scenario. The whole reason I started to do the whole vector map pixel flow was to try to pinpoint where the bullet may have hit him in his bulletproof vest. But in the middle of kind of creating the code to run that, it became obvious that he didn't have a vest on. The pictures with, you could see his nipples, and then it was just, the back line of where he's hunched over in his seat. There's no way even a executive vest could be concealed to that point.
Okay, we're going to move forward just a little bit, because what he's explaining here is he's explaining the damage and impact that we saw to Charlie's chest. Okay. This is, I think, going to be one of the most compelling parts of this entire theory, is because nobody has been able to explain this. I mean, when this first came out, we were racking our heads on that weird concaved impact to the chest, right? His shirt bubbles up. His whole shirt comes up over his face. We thought for sure he had to have had body armor on. That had to be some type of deflection off of body armor. It was the only thing that made sense for that impact, the weird thing, the chest. We still don't have an answer to that through the official narrative. 30-06 round hits him in the neck. It doesn't make any sense. Like what we thought maybe, right, when we were racking our brains on it, was that necklace that he had on that we do know broke off. Was that when that round hits him in the neck, the cavitation from the round that expands his neck out made the chain snap. But then I learned that he had a long chained pendant on, and so his neck wouldn't have swollen out to the point of breaking a chain. And so we still really couldn't explain the weird shit in his chest. It still, even today, looks like he gets hit in the impact. It looks like he gets hit in the chest. Boom, here was something, and then it all foils up, and this flies up. So, and how does that happen from a 30-06 round hitting you in the neck? I don't know. Nobody knows. This is where like the theories of being shot from behind and all these things happen, because it makes no sense for that what we see and what John does with his software here to show all of the impact and the motion coming from the chest first, not through the neck. Okay.
Energy to actually break the necklace.
So what you can see here is this is tracking the actual energy. And so when he first gets hit, all of this kinetic energy, you can see the shirt, see the freedom as it's getting pulled up. It does kind of look here like, can you guys see my cursor when I do this? Let me know, guys. I want to make sure that you guys can see what I'm pointing at. You guys see the cursor? Give me a yes in the chat. Yes or no in the chat. Okay, good. Who keeps saying the audio's off? You guys not hear the audio? Why does somebody keep saying that? Is the audio good on the video? We're just getting trolled. Okay, thanks, guys. All right, let's keep moving. So again, you can see this huge force of impact as the freedom gets pulled up, the entire shirt gets pulled up, and we don't know why. We still don't know why. But as John's going to get into his theory here, if he's got this battery pack that's down here on his chest, an explosion comes from there, yeah, that's actually exactly what you would expect to see of the kinetic energy here that's coming from that.
So then I refined the code to really hone in on those.
So here's a really good picture. See the shirt? See how the entire shirt like gets pulled up from the lower chest area? That doesn't make sense for a guy who got shot clean in the skin. It never did. But the official narrative. But John's going to explain this through what he thinks, and his theory explains this.
Those details. And my first runs, the red dots are mapping the epicenter frame to frame. So every frame there's pixel movement, and wherever there was the most pixel movement in the frame, it maps it with a red dot. When there's a lot of movement going on, it can be random.
Boom, here. See the shirt? The whole shirt. Boom. Moves upwards like this. And you can see that kinetic energy with all these green lines moving up towards his face, which again does not make sense from an impact from a rifle round in the neck.
But when you have a lot of quick movement, it's pretty accurate, especially when you have multiple angles. So between the two front angles that we had, I was able to basically pinpoint the epicenters around his sternum. And then I noticed that the magnetic clasp kind of followed that. So that led me to kind of investigate what the magnetic clasp was all about. And then I found the model of the microphone and then the pictures of them kind of mounting it on it. So then I started studying in the past, how did he wear the microphone? And when he first got the mic, he wore it on the outside of his shirt. And then it slowly kind of evolved, and then they put it underneath his shirt. And that day, it's kind of like mounted in a peculiar way that it's almost like standing on its side, where it's kind of bulges his shirt out. It looks kind of uncomfortable, and it's at a 45-degree angle. And I kept getting peak maps right below that, like kind of 45 degrees, like a trajectory that matches what you would expect if the bottom of that microphone kind of blew out.
So what he's explaining here is Charlie's got his mic here, right? Or the Rode mic here, and it's oriented in a way. Sorry, it's this kind of backwards for me as I'm watching in the camera. It's oriented a way, that it's going to come down and hit him in the sternum. If it blows out, boom, the actual shape charge explosion is going to blow, or I guess it would be from this side. Sorry, this is backwards on me. Blows this way, and then the frag from this comes up and hits him in the neck. Okay. So again, we'll get more mics on the shitter. What's going on? Why does everybody keep saying mic's bad? Audio's bad. What's going on in the chat here? Is audio fine or not? Okay, I don't know. All right, next person. Yeah, hey, if you're going to say no audio and shit like that and it's not, then just fucking get rid of those people, mods. I'm trying to interact with the chat, and if you guys are telling me you can't hear me, then it's just going to distract me. So just fucking get rid of those people if they're trolling. Let's not even deal with that tonight. Okay. All right, anyway, let's move back into it. To get what, and we're gonna do some shape charge stuff here in a second to really explain what a shape charge is and how this whole thing works once John gets to it.
So then I found a video of someone actually disassembling the mic, and then I saw where the battery was, and the battery was right in that area. So that led me to start investigate, like, what could this battery been modified somehow? And then it wasn't even a year ago before that event that the Grim pager or Grim beeper attacks, the Mossad pager attacks happened. And I studied those, and I realized that, those pagers were in circulation for over a decade before.
Okay, this is very important, and I love this part of the theory. I love a theory that takes complication out of the assassination, and he'll explain what I mean here in a second.
Or they were detonated, and the batteries went through airport scanners. They were completely functional that whole time.
That's the key. Completely functional.
Yeah, that really opened my mind to the fact that Charlie's microphone was the older model. He had those microphones for quite a while, and he's traveled all over for them. So they're
okay. So I want to explain why this is important to the theory. What I love about theories that don't take 100 people being involved in is Occam's razor. The simplest thing is usually the one that's true. And when we're talking about this, when we're talking about the Israeli Hezbollah pagers, as John mentions there, those were in circulation for months. People using them as regular pagers for months before all of a sudden, one day, this thing explodes in their face and kills them. So what I think is interesting about this, and again, guys, I'm not saying this theory is true. I'm saying we're going to work our way through the problems with it and the things that I think are compelling about it, okay? What I like about this is that this doesn't take 20 people being involved. It doesn't take the entire security team and everybody's throwing hand signals at everybody and the audio engineers into it. And there's 1,000 different people that are all in on this for this microphone to be set up to kill Charlie. This thing could be set up by one person set it and forget it. Right? One person switches this out with the regular mic. He doesn't even have to be there. The person who actually rigs this device doesn't even have to be on the ground there. Potentially nobody there knows this is even going to happen, other than the one guy who sets this up, just like the Israeli pagers. That, and again, I'm not saying there's going to be problems with this theory, but I like a theory that uncomplicates the assassin in some ways. And it's going to get way more complicated as we go, and we're going to have criticisms there, but just to start. But I want to we're going to take a look at this and see how the Israelis did it. Right? It's important. They designed this in a way that could kill the person holding it without harming anyone around them. Low collateral. Okay. So that's how, again, our greatest ally did it. And the reason why this is interesting, had we never learned about the fact that you could turn a pager into an IED, this theory probably wouldn't be anywhere near as compelling, other than we know the technology is there to make a device that can do this. We 100% know it's possible to make some of these devices. Now, can you make this device into a shape charge? That's what we're going to talk about next. It's going to get a little bit more complicated, okay? The theory does get more complicated as we go, okay, in fairness, but we're working our way through it, all right? We're going start to finish.
There's ample opportunity for someone to get a hold of it, and you can see how quickly you can get the battery out of it. You don't need to solder anything. You can just pop it out and basically replace it with a loaded battery, and the user would never know. You could go on using it. It would have approximately 75% of the charge capacity, and it would take someone that would used it all the way to empty all the time to even notice that it changed.
Point being here is that this could have been set up 3 months ago by somebody, and they just decide when they want to activate it, just like the Israelis did.
So that made it plausible. And then I started to study the injuries from the pager attacks, which the pagers themselves were alkaline batteries. They were round, like AA style batteries. So they left like black residue, but they didn't leave any burns, and they didn't really like char the victims, and it was pretty directional.
Wait, so you're saying the ones in Lebanon did not leave charring?
Yeah, what they left was the alkaline battery was like the insides of the alkaline battery, like the black residue from the alkaline battery. The walkie-talkies that followed the day after, they had lithium batteries, and they didn't leave any charring or any residue. They were pretty much clean. So that's where I was like, well, that's bizarre, because immediately, like everyone else, you think explosion, you think it's going to be like a lot of radial damage. There'll be charring and residue left.
Okay, so now we are going to talk about this. Okay, the idea that you could have an explosive, a shape charge, and it would leave no charring, no damage. Now, this is where we have to understand what a shape charge actually is. Okay, so we're going to get into the science of what a shape charge is, because it's going to be very, very important to understanding this theory as we move forward. Okay, so I have a lot of good videos. We're going to get technical here. And so for those of you who know, or those of you who don't know, everybody who's a combat veteran, especially if you were in Iraq, especially if you were driving vehicles in Iraq, know that a shape charges, or EFPs is what we call them, are the nastiest IED on the battlefield. Okay, they came from Iran, and basically what these things could do is it essentially is super ultra heats copper that blows off into a charge like this. It blows out in sort of a cone, and it's basically just plasma. It's like a plasma charge that will just blow through an Abrams tank. It's not like a regular IED that's going to explode and shrapnel goes everywhere. It's basically a directional plasma gun. All right. And so I got some good videos that actually explain how a shape charge works, because it's important to understand this. If a shape charge, John Bray thinks a shape charge is in this microphone, we need to understand what a shape charge is and how it actually works. So let's watch a couple videos on this.
Shape charge, an explosive in which the energy is focused in a particular direction. A shape charge is used when a barrier needs to be breached with a limited amount of explosive. There are many types of shape charges.
Did you hear what he said there? When you need a high penetrating breach without very much explosive, which is exactly what you would want to put in a small housing device, right? Something that's got a massive amount of penetrating power, but doesn't take a whole lot of explosive power to do it, because you can't pack a shit ton of explosives into a tiny little pager or microphone.
Here we'll show a common type. First, there is the casing, which will contain the explosive. Next, the housing, which will contain the detonator. Now, the metal liner. The liner material and shape is the most important part of a shape charge. We'll see why shortly. The liner used in this example is made of copper. Next is the main explosive itself, followed by the booster explosive. Finally, the detonator is added. An electrical charge is used to trigger the detonator. The detonator causes the booster to explode with enough force to cause the less sensitive main explosive to explode. As the shock front travels through the main explosive, it squeezes the liner into a thin jet, which is then expelled at very high speed away from the explosive. Without melting, the kinetic energy alone of the liner is now able to cut through a thick barrier at a precise location.
All right, and then one more. Yeah, I love all the people pretending in the chat like they have any idea, like they know what the charge is. you guys are cute. If you're not a combat veteran, I guarantee you had no idea what any of this was before we watched this. All right, one more. This is a good one too.
Also known as an explosively formed projectile. An explosively formed penetrator is a type of
Now, I want you guys to watch the housing mechanism here. It does not stay in one piece. It explodes, it frags, and John Bray is going to get into this as he moves forward and talks about it.
Also,
that's the housing mechanism. The entire housing mechanism is going to explode with the force as it sends forward the shape
known
charge.
As an explosively formed projectile. An explosively formed penetrator is a type of shaped charge, often used against armored vehicles. EFPs differ from normal shaped charges as the liner is not conical, and is often thicker, resulting in a projectile being formed instead of a hypervelocity jet. A simple EFP is comprised of a casing, a high explosive filler, a detonator, and a concave liner, often being made of copper.
Yep.
While an EFP cannot penetrate as much armor as a conical-shaped charge, the large slug can cause more post-penetration damage, as well as retaining its penetrative power over a greater distance. Due to these benefits, an EFP can be preferential against a lightly armored vehicle or vulnerable parts of heavy armor, such as the belly of a main battle tank. EFPs have been used in a variety of weapon systems, as well as in improvised explosive devices, due to their simplicity.
There you go. So, as it says there, great type of explosive or IED because of how simple it is. You can build this thing, not a lot of pieces to it, causes a ton of damage, and you could very well build this into a housing mechanism of a microphone. It doesn't take a whole lot to do, and it causes massive damage, okay, when it actually hits. We got a couple other videos. We're not going to get to those. A couple other shape charge, actual demonstrations of shape charges being used. We're not going to get to that yet, okay, because I do want to keep moving. I don't want to get ahead of our skis as John explains some of this stuff as we get into it. But to the point, that's how a shape charge works, okay? So it's going to be in that housing mechanism, right? And then it's going to blast out forward. But in this case, it's going to be aimed at his chest. And the frag that comes off of that is supposedly what comes up and hits him in the neck. All right, let's keep moving.
So that opened up to the possibility that it could be a completely clean burn. But then I was kind of perplexed, like, why would why would someone go through the effort of this and not have a means to cover it up, right? If they killed Charlie with a loaded microphone bomb, everyone would know who it is. So that kind of opened up the idea that they would need a patsy. And
Okay. This is where it gets a little bit more complicated because Tyler Robinson is involved. So this is how John explains essentially Tyler Robinson being involved, somebody on the roof, a patsy.
then the rifle kind of made sense to me, like the weirdness and strangeness about it. But I'll put my mind in kind of the conspirators, right? If I wanted to pull this sort of event out, I would want the wound and the event to look like a rifle shot. And in my mind, immediately what I thought was it looked like a chest shot. So then I was like, what if this was designed to mimic a chest shot of a 30-06?
So let's talk about that really quick, because a lot of people are going to say, like, what's your official explanation as to why the official narrative wouldn't work?
Well, it's because it's the order of events. So you when you watch the events unfold in slow motion, frame by frame, the necklace, the microphone movement, and the shirt all precede the appearance of the neck wound. And with a high velocity impact to the neck, the zone 2 of the neck in particular, you would have instantaneous effects, right? You would have automized blood.
Okay. This is, again, a lot of stuff I promise you 99% of you guys, and this isn't me knocking on you, that you just, I want to explain. John Bray, this guy is fucking so smart. He's one of these people that is so smart that the rest of us, it's hard to keep up with. Okay, so what he's explaining here is what you would typically see from a 30-06 wound, a high-powered rifle wound that hits Charlie Kirk in the carotid artery. And so what John explains there is, how come we didn't see any blood atomization? And what that means, okay, is blood atomization is what you would typically see from a high-powered rifle round. Think about what we call it pink misting. Okay, if that round hits Charlie Kirk in the neck, it's moving with such force, it's going to atomize. It's not going to fully atomize the blood, but it's basically going to miss that blood. And what you're going to see is just massive, and we see it in the movies, but it is this way. A massive boom mist, right? Pink mist, because it's also arterial blood. Arterial blood is foamy and misty. And so what you would have thought, and then you would also would have seen the entire tent painted from behind him. What you would have expected to see from a high-powered rifle round is that massive blood atomization, that pink misting blasting out. But we didn't see any of that. We saw him get hit in the chest, or not hit in the chest, but we saw the rock to the chest like this, and then like a second later, the blood pours out in sort of a thick liquid, rather than that typical high-powered rifle misting that you would see. And so that's what he's explaining. And that was something we also couldn't really explain from the 30-06 round being shot in the carotid artery. Another thing to understand is the carotid artery is so pressurized. It's besides maybe the femoral, the most pressurized artery in the body. So the second that artery breaks, there's so much pressure on it that it's going to boom, right? Blood's going to just, especially a high-powered rifle round, it's going to fly out in a pink mist. We didn't see that. And we also didn't see an exit wound. None of what we saw makes sense for a 30-06 round, this giant fucking bullet. The anatomy effects didn't make sense. The blood atomization didn't happen. All of these things that John's explaining did not happen. And so John's explanation is that this is actually frag from the shape charge going off, and the bottom or the top side of that frag comes up and hits him in the neck. So a big piece of plastic comes up and would create a bigger open wound that wouldn't actually create that blood atomization. It wouldn't be like a high-powered rifle round, but it would open up a hole big enough in that carotid to where you then see that pour out come, a second later. And so, again, the reason why these theories are interesting is because the official narrative of a 30-06 round hitting Charlie in the carotid artery, but we don't see what we would ever see from a 30-06 round hitting somebody in the neck that would have ripped half his neck off. Well, all of a sudden, the idea of maybe frag from this type of explosive could be possible. I'm not saying that I'm bought into this theory. I'm just saying he's bringing up very, very compelling points that most people have not thought about. Let's keep moving.
Have cavitation. There's no way that you would have it's at 0.43 seconds delay from when the shirt first moves to when you see the neck wound even appear. And it's almost a whole second before blood appears out of the neck wound.
Yeah,
which is not what you would expect from a high-powered rifle round to the carotid artery.
So the strangest part to me is that delay.
So then I studied, the forensics of high velocity impacts, and there's so much, case studies on it and examples of people being shot in the neck in the exact same area, and nothing about it made sense. There was no high velocity blood, no blood atomization.
That's what I was just explaining. No blood atomization, right? High velocity blood. That's the idea that you would see that massive pink misting coming out from a carotid artery that we didn't see.
And then the strangeness of the leaked autopsy reports, like them trying to say that the C1 was hit when, the trajectory was almost impossible for that to happen.
Who told you about that? That was Nate's video. I'll take a little bit of credit for that one.
And then it traveled down to the C6, and then I just couldn't understand why they would go through efforts to try to explain that. But
so also I want to bring you back to that video I did where I explained the impossibility of a 9-degree slope hitting Charlie Kirk and hitting him in the C1. Hopefully as my viewers or people that are, regulars on the channel, you've seen that video. We've explained it a bunch of times. But what did I say in that video? I said in that video, let's say the Andrew Colvett autopsy story actually is true, even though we've gone back and forth. Like we thought it was true. And then Candace let us know that actually, no, fucking Andrew Colvett supposedly just made that up. So we have no idea what to believe on that. But let's say that autopsy report was true and something did hit him in the C1, which is the highest vertebrae up in the neck. We showed through the math, the only way that could happen was something coming from a 30-degree up angle or more. It would be impossible to come from a down angle, which becomes interesting because if that autopsy report is real, all of a sudden the upward angle works with this theory. Just something to think about.
When I got to kind of the aftermath, right? So once I thought I had a solid grasp on what caused the shirt to move, what caused the necklace to move, what caused his body to react in the way it did, the way his hands grasp together, his elbows lift up and his arms come in.
This is going to be important.
And particularly his legs. If you look at his legs, his knees immediately come together and he lifts himself out of the chair. And so that's indicating that he had midbrain and brainstem damage.
Okay. This is super important. And I'm telling you, John Bray, this dude he's fucking smart. One of the smartest dudes I've seen, just talking in general. So what he's talking about there is Charlie Kirk's actual physical effects of when he gets shot. All right. And we talked about this before. We talked about this in Barron's electrocution theory about how what we saw was decorticate posture. And what decorticate posture is what we saw Charlie do. He went like this, right? And what this posture is, as John just mentioned, this is damage to the actual brain itself, this actual upper cerebral part of your brain, or the upper brain stem. That's what that effect is from. Now, why is that a problem? Well, Charlie Kirk was shot in the neck near the C5 with a 30-06 round. It's not going to hit his brainstem. It's not going to do cerebral damage. So why did we see decorticate posture from a round that would not have hit him in the upper brainstem or the actual brain itself? Well, if, again, you have a theory where something exploding is coming up directionally, we don't have any exit wound, but where could that go? Where could that fragment go? Up directionally here, moving upwards through his neck, up into his brain, causing that actual cerebral cortex damage that actually makes the decorticate posture now make sense, because the decorticate posture doesn't make any sense with the official narrative. There's so many things with the official narrative that don't make sense. The 30-06, it's not just the idea that there was no exit wound with the 30-06. There's all these different things. The location of the shot doesn't work. The angle doesn't work, right? His posture, his reflexes don't make sense because he wasn't shot in the head. So again, this is why this story or this theory becomes interesting, because it does explain some things. Doesn't explain everything by any means, but it explains some things that the official narrative, the 30-06 narrative, cannot explain. Right? So let's keep moving.
And then that made perfect sense to me. That's why they had to lean on the C1 damage, because that's the only way that you could have that sort of physical reaction from a ballistic impact. Outside of a headshot, it would have to be at the very base of the spine for a bullet to cause a physical reaction like that. So,
True.
It made me think that possibly the narrative was being crafted kind of on the fly. And so then I started questioning the neck wound, like the bleeding of the neck wound, the delayed bleeding of it, and the shape of it. And particularly the trajectory of the magnetic clasp, which basically tells you the trajectory of the whole microphone, right? They were connected together, and how they lined up perfectly with where the wound appeared. And then the wound had this strange, rectangular appearance. And
Again, the wound itself, this has been a big one. A lot of people have gone back and forth. That's not an entrance wound. Heard Rob O'Neill talk about it. Like, a lot of people who believe the shot from behind and that this is actually an exit wound is because that's what it looks like. The hole is so big, and again, just weird formed, and the blood, again, not exploding out of his neck, no blood atomization, no pink misting. Well, if this is some type of fat frag, then there's something like that may be possible. Maybe possible. Again, we're gonna get some problems coming real soon. I promise you. It's not all sunshine and rainbows with this theory.
Delayed bleeding, and if you look very closely, frame by frame, you can actually see the deformation of the flesh. It matches the trajectory of the microphone, the direction it was traveling. So
a quick question that people are going to have is: are you saying that the microphone itself exploded, or are you saying that something exploded out of the microphone towards his neck?
I believe that the microphone was designed to replicate a 30-06 impact to the chest, and there was unforeseen shrapnel that came off of the microphone, either the battery or the magnetic clasp, that struck his neck, that they didn't prepare for. And so when the very obvious neck wound became kind of the center point of the event, they had to shift the narrative from a chest shot to a single neck shot. And they had to explain the physical reactions that we all saw by, the C1 impact and the vertebrae damage. When in reality, I believe he probably had chest damage too. And if you remember, there were leaks from the hospital that described massive chest damage. They said his chest was caved in. And even some of the first reports of the autopsy, which the New York Times article even mentioned chest, but then it was redacted and it was changed later. And you can't find any mention of that again. But the whole, even the first witness that I saw from the crowd said that he was shot in the chest and blood came out from underneath his shirt. Yeah.
Okay, so here we go. This is where the theory starts to break down for Nate. Okay, not completely, but I this is where everything starts to get complicated, and now 100 people have to be involved in a cover-up to make this work. So let me explain why. So what John's suggesting here is that shape charge, which is designed to shoot Charlie in the chest, right, creating what would look like a a 30-06 wound to the chest, and that's actually what happened. But there was some unforeseen frag that comes off the top of that as explodes and hits him in the neck. And since we all saw that live with our own eyes, well, now, okay, the story has to change that he's shot in the neck because the world saw that. Okay, some unforeseen things happens. What's the huge problem with that? Now everybody is involved in the cover-up. If he actually was shot in the chest with this shape charge, and again, I'm not discrediting what they said. I did actually hear things like this. Most people thought he was shot in the chest based off of everything. We thought he was shot in the chest with body armor on this channel on the first day before we found the pictures with the nipples and everything like that. But now what we're suggesting is that the shape charge goes off, it hits him in the chest, an unforeseen frag comes up. And so what that means is that Charlie's got a caved in chest, but he's also got a hole in his neck. So what's the huge problem with that? Everyone knows. All of TPUSA knows. The security detail knows, because they would have got down. Now, I'm not saying this isn't possible. I'm just that fucking TPUSA is involved, right? I'm just saying it's just more than that. Okay. So now you have the security details involved because they're on top of him. They see the caved in chest. They see this. So they know. You've got everybody at TPUSA. They know. Not only that, the hospital, okay, he goes to the surgeon. The surgeon's going to open him up. They're going to see this massive caved in chest, also shot to the neck. Okay. The coroner's going to know because he's going to see the caved in chest. So now we have 100 different people that know that Charlie was shot in the chest by something, but also hit with the neck. And now we've got to fabricate this big story that explains it away. Is that possible? Maybe. But for me personally, guys, and maybe you're different than me, what I don't necessarily like is when things get this complicated. This was my big problem with the electrocution theory is too. Now we had everybody's doing hand signals and everybody's involved and the audio engineers are involved and the surgeon's involved. The cops are involved, the FBI involved, and not to say that there's not cover-ups. I do believe there's massive cover-up myself. You guys know that. But you can't have this many people involved, in my opinion, because now you're making up fake coroner reports, fake surgeon reports. Everybody at the hospital knows. So this is where I hit my first really big problem with John's theory. Is not that it's not super interesting up to this point. And again, I'm not discrediting it. I'm just saying this in John's theory. I think there's maybe ways around this. But to John's theory, this for me, it's too many people involved. I don't know how you guys feel about that. But I don't like, because guys, we all know how people are. People can't keep their mouths shut, fucking guys. They just can't. You can't get 100 people to keep a secret. You can't do it. Right. Eventually somebody cracks. Eventually somebody's going to give up the goods. OK, so not to say that I'm discounting the theory completely. I'm just saying I don't like where it turned to here, where we have to cover up the chest wound to make the neck wound work. OK, but again, it doesn't make the theory bad. This is just my first hiccup with it. All right, let's keep moving.
So, it's I feel like that there was a scramble to cover up any chest wound because they only had a single rifle shot, and you can't have two different wounds with a single rifle shot. And I think that explains the strangeness at the hospital with the physicians and the surgeon not be able to go back in, and then autopsies ordered overnight, and then flying him out, and then the
this is all true though. This was all bizarre shit. So what in fairness, back to John, nothing TPUSA did after Charlie was killed made any sense. Again, supposedly the autopsy report didn't happen at all. And then it did, but yet Charlie got flown out by JD Vance the very next morning, even though supposedly the autopsy didn't happen for another day after that. So is there a possibility this cover-up happened? Yes. It just makes it more complicated.
Security footage from the hospital getting confiscated, it all just seemed kind of out of the ordinary and unnecessary, unless you had something to hide, like a very obvious chest wound, right?
So just real quick, sorry to cut you off there. Some people are saying that he sounds nervous. Yeah, this is not what he does. He does not do podcasts. He does not do interviews regularly. So we're going to be giving him some grace because.
First of all, guys, if you have a guest on, don't, like, I'm not saying to Triggersmart. I'm a big fan of Triggersmart. I'm just saying, guys, don't fucking shit on the guest. They didn't. But, like, the audience, don't talk, oh, he seems nervous. He seems this. Like, don't be fucking lame. You know what I mean? Like, John, obviously, he's coming on. He's explaining this huge, super complicated theory. Like, give him some fucking grace, man. You know what I mean? Wasn't a big fan of this part of the show, personally. Not beating up Triggersmart on it, but, like, come on, dude. He's doing a great fucking job explaining something so complicated that most people couldn't understand any of this. Like, give him the fucking respect that he deserves, because he's insanely smart.
Because he is not doing this on a regular basis. So,
and I would say that for anyone to hop on a live stream and completely, flush out their entire very complicated theory of, amongst all these people.
And you're just going to make, if he is nervous, you're just going to make him feel more nervous because you fucking pointed it out. Don't do that to people.
Online is a nerve-wracking thing. So John, I think you're knocking it out of the park. You're doing a great job.
Yeah.
All right. So now some people are asking to have you explain this. So, and actually you said that you either wrote software or you use software for this. So who,
and this is why I want to tell you guys how fucking brilliant this dude is. John wrote the fucking software to figure all this shit out. This is a 1,000 times higher than anything I would be capable of. So
I guess you want to walk people about, like, through the software piece of it, like how you came up with this kind of grid that shows where the pressure and the power and energy was.
Yeah, so I took the MT Labs, the MIT Labs optical flow software, and I modified it to specifically look for epicenters frame to frame. So what it's doing is looking frame to frame to video.
Okay, I want to stop here. I got to stop here, okay, because this is actually important. And this is one of my other big problems with the theory, okay? This has been my problem with the electrocution theory. It's been my problem with the palm gun theory. It's been my problem with the lapel mic theory. And that is the cavitation to Charlie Kirk's neck. Okay, we can see, guys, you can see his neck is almost wider than his ears here. And what that is caused by is a high-powered rifle round. Okay, it's not necessarily 30-06, but even something as small as a AR-15 round, a 223, 5.56, 300 blackout, 300 Win Mag, all the way up to 270, 30-06. It doesn't matter. This is what you would typically see from a high-powered rifle round, this massive cavitation to the neck. The problem is with a piece of frag is not moving at the speed to be able to cause this level of cavitation. And so, again, this has kind of been one of those things that has been a linchpin and sort of being a problem for a lot of different theories that nobody's really been able to explain away outside of what you would typically see in a high-powered rifle round. But who knows, right?
On how the pixels move. It's because his shirt has those freedom text across it. And,
So, well, hold on. Somebody said a shape charge could also, let's talk about this. This is a good comment, okay? A shape charge could also cause that cavitation. Yes, but remember, John's theory is not that the shape charge itself hits Charlie Kirk in the neck, right? Remember, John's theory is that the shape charge hits Charlie Kirk in the chest, and fragmentation from the actual housing mechanism causes that hit to the neck, right? So we have to remember the context of what we're working here as we're talking about this.
Shirt's white, and then we have the black magnetic clasp on the shirt. It gives us a lot of vectors to track. So basically the software is looking at every frame, and it's mapping the movement in between those frames. And then it's putting a red circle on the epicenter of those movements.
I mean, and again, this is where this frame and with the software you can see designed. And I mean, you can see it. You can see the shirt, you can see the chest cavity. None of this makes sense. It never made sense. The only way we were to possibly try to explain this away was body armor. We know there was no body armor. This massive cavitation to the chest here. with this huge explosive kinetic energy moving up towards his face from the chest. I don't know how. I personally don't know how a rifle round to the neck causes this to happen. This has been another one of those things that the official narrative just has not been able to explain.
And you can see the color mapping is showing you where the areas of the highest movement. So it kind of shows you the previous frame where the movement moved from the previous frame to the next
like an
frame.
onion skin.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so like in this one, is the red circle where the focus is, or is that just
the red circle is where the peak movement happened from the previous frame to that frame.
Okay.
So this is where the massive amount of kinetic energy is coming from here in this one frame.
Okay,
And
so
you
that's
can see
showing movement across.
And you see the heat frame from where the text was. It's showing you the text was in the previous frame. It was there, and then you can see where the text on his shirt is now, where the shirt pulls up across his face.
Okay, so quick question on this. So this is a separate theory that I'll probably ask you about, but the electrocution theory, he was saying that, he was trying to explain like the burn under his like chest nipple area.
Mm-hmm.
But in your stuff you're showing here, it's not that low, correct? It's higher up on his chest.
Yeah, and the other angle maps it slightly different. Because the pixels are going to be different from different angles. But they're both in that general area.
Okay, so they're both kind of by the F of freedom.
Yeah, exactly. The shape charge theory basically is that it's not like a general basic explosive. It's not a radial force. It has a small charge and a cone, and it basically directs a high energy jet out of the cone. So
that's what we showed earlier, guys. And I'm gonna show you a couple shape charge videos here in a second that are gonna talk about housing mechanisms being fragged out and blown out.
It's made to penetrate armor, but you can use it on soft targets too, and it allows you to create a wound that's very similar to a rifle wound, where it leaves a deep wound channel, and it'll even leave copper fragmentation into the wound. So what we're seeing in the shirt moving is the overpressurization. So the pressure that didn't penetrate the flesh basically is escaping through the shirt, and that's what causes the shirt to balloon up and move so much.
Okay, so good. So what he's talking about, you're seeing that big ballooning of the shirt, right? The frag coming out in his face. All of this. Look at this guy. Hey, dude. There's other big channels going on right now that you can go watch. If this is a waste of time, why are you here? Why are you watching this? Go watch Bluey. That's probably more up your speed. This probably is way above your fucking intellectual capacity, bud. You know what I mean? Chances are you're not smart enough to be bringing in the information that we're putting out here tonight. All right. So let's actually watch some of these actual tests with shape charges. I got a couple of them so you guys can see the power of a shape charge here. Actually, I think I need to reset this. 2 different videos I want you guys to watch. This one's a little over the top, but.
All right, on today's episode of EFP versus blank. In this corner, we have a 10mm AR-500 steel plate, graciously donated by Grizzly Targets. In the other corner, we have our 80mm 3D printed EFP. This bad boy can punch through armor like a...
Obviously, this is way bigger than what would be used, but this is kind of a small EFP that you would typically see, but it's replicating what we're talking about.
Hot knife through butter. Will the plate survive the wrath of the EFP? Only one way to find out, and that's to blow it up.
So, as you can see,
the EFP totally obliterated our target frame and yeeted the plate so far back, we were afraid we lost it. We eventually found it about 20 meters from its origin. The EFP punched a hole almost 40 millimeters in diameter as if it was nothing. Safe to say the steel plate has been defeated.
Okay, now, the steel plate being blown through, you'd expect to see that. But more importantly, there was the EFP itself, the housing mechanism. As you saw, the entire thing explodes. And frag goes fucking everywhere. All right, and here's another one we're going to watch. This one's EFP on human body. Well, there's a couple different ones, but good EFP testing here, too. So they have an EFP. I think this is replicating human bone at this point.
Fire in the hole! 3, 2, 1! That was infinitely louder than I expected. RDX, baby.
So I want you guys to notice the flames, right? Because the EFP is working off of heat, plasma. Watch the actual fire, because when we're talking about, this is important, with Charlie Kirk being burned around his chest, watch the actual flames that come out from this. Massive fire. That's a giant EFP. Watch this as well.
95 billionths of a second.
Holy.
And we stopped the lens way down, so this should be some delicious detail. What is that? Doesn't even look the same. What am I looking at right here? Whoa, what are those lines? What are we seeing? You can see his electrical wires getting vaporized right there.
Yeah.
So we get so many microseconds of detonation, and then that kicks off. And then the jet comes out and just plummets and explodes.
see the
I can't
jet
wait
come
to know how
down this
fast
way.
that's going.
The
Should be able to
housing
calculate
mechanism
pretty
is up
easily.
here, guys. So this is the housing mechanism up here at the top.
And then that kicks
That's
off.
the housing mechanism.
And then the jet comes out and just plummets and explodes.
I can't wait to know how fast that's going.
Should be able to calculate it pretty easily.
So, why is that important to the theory? Because as you saw, you have the cone, the jet itself that was coming down. That's the plasma. That's the actual shape charge that he's saying is going into Charlie's chest. But what happens through the housing mechanism itself, which would have been connected to his chest? Poof! It blows out. Frag goes everywhere. That fireball, and again, it's way smaller than what he's doing because it's in a little pager. You just think about whatever we just looked at, shrink it down 1/10 the size. So yes, you probably would have a bunch of burns around the chest area because of that housing mechanism exploding and the fireball that's going around it. So anyway, interesting stuff on that with some demonstrations on how a shape charge actually works.
That the shirt that pulls up across his face on the opposite side of the microphone is actually from his necklace. The pendant on his necklace, the cross pendant, is pushed down, and then it can't go down anymore. So then it follows the kind of the path of the necklace and raises up across, and that's what lifts his shirt up across his face.
Okay, so you're saying the downward pressure of the explosion.
We're going to move forward a little bit here, guys, as they show actually installing something
Against his chest also. So if the shape charge was put anywhere, it's going to be put in that gold battery right there.
No, I think with the previous pager attacks and the cell phones, they just replaced a portion of the battery, correct?
Right. They basically took 20% of the cell and replaced it with the explosive.
Okay.
And I believe that's what they probably did with this. They just replaced it with a smaller cell battery, a slightly shorter battery, and then they put the shape charge in the end of the space that was left over.
And could they actually design something like this? Is it feasibly possible? Yes. I'm not saying that this is what happened to Charlie necessarily, but is this realistically, technologically feasible? Absolutely.
And that would make it so it would still function. He could still live stream and everything with it, but obviously the battery wouldn't last as long.
Exactly.
Okay, now someone is asking you to explain how the pendant broke one more time, just so they can understand it.
Basically, the pendant, the necklace was moved by the force of the explosion, and then it crossed the path of the shape charge. So when the pendant was pushed down and it met the end of the slack of the necklace, and then it's like a pendulum, it swung up and started to come out of the shirt, and that pulled the necklace across, and it ended up crossing that peak that we see in the middle of his chest, and that's what snapped the necklace. And then the momentum of the necklace forced it over his head.
This is really interesting to me too, because the necklace flying and snapping off does not make any sense with the 30-06 round either. Because as we were talking about earlier, yes, it would make 100% sense if Charlie had a tight necklace on, gold necklace, not tight, but maybe like an inch off the neck. That cavitation, 30-06 round, it hits him in the neck. Hypothetically, doesn't blow his neck in half. The cavitation in that neck, it swells, it snaps the chain. The problem is, again, Charlie had a long, loose chain. So why would getting shot in the neck that doesn't touch the chain, because it's coming down off of his chest, what about this round being hitting him in the neck here cause a loose chain to fly up with that level of force to snap in half and fly off the back of his head? It doesn't, for the official narrative. That never made any sense. We couldn't, and no, it's not rapid expansion. It's not cavitation. I thought that initially because I thought it was a tight necklace. It wasn't a tight necklace. It's a super loose necklace. So the cavitation in the neck is not expanding out to here to snap that necklace. But if there's force, right, that necklace is here and the force is exploding up this way. Now that necklace is getting yanked off due to the force. That actually makes sense from an explosion coming from the chest, coming up, rather than being shot in the neck with a high-powered rifle round. Why the hell would that break a loose chain and throw it 10 feet behind him? Doesn't make any sense. And that never made any sense. That was another one that the official narrative, the 30-06 story, we could not really make, heads or tails of.
So that's why when we see the necklace fly up and over his head, it's broken. It's a single strand, 26 inches of necklace instead of being, a loop connected.
And we don't know at this point what the coroner's report said. I've seen some people asking about that, and I've tried to kind of interject a little bit too. I mean, that's part of the problem, you guys, is that we don't know exactly, what the coroner had to say, what the autopsy said, what the doctors, officially said. I mean, we're going off of third, fourth, fifth party information.
And if you're also taking into consideration things like now Candace is saying that, Colvett never said what he said, or that what he said.
Which, by the way, when Candace did that episode and she said, Andrew Colvett, the surgeon said, Andrew Colvett, the surgeon said, I never said that to Andrew Colvett. TPUSA hasn't gone against Candace on that. So we got to assume that was fucking made up. So we have no idea what the coroner report actually shows. We don't know if he was actually hit in the C1, in the C2, in the C4. We don't know if there's a bullet in there. We don't know fucking anything at this point. We thought we did until, again, Candace did that episode saying the surgeon said fucking he never said that, and TPUSA just kind of said, well, we're not going to go against that. So at this point, we have to assume we have no idea. We don't even know if there is a medical examiner's report at this point.
It was made up and that the surgeon never said that. We're kind of getting to the point where can we believe anything that's been told so far? Anything. Yeah.
Not really.
Like the fact that he had broken vertebrae, and like, is that true? We don't even know if, because if people are trying to make these other narratives fit that now. Like, well, if he was electrocuted, how do you account for the vertebrae? Do we even know the vertebrae are broken?
And so why the speculation? Because I think inquiring minds want to know. And there are a lot of us who just cannot stand to sit around and wait for, a year plus. And it just doesn't feel right.
I want to talk about another thing here. Another thing that's important. You guys remember how we showed that there was no blood on anybody's hands? Right? Brian Harpool, Dan Flood. We've shown no blood on anybody's fucking hands. People tried to go against me and say that, oh no, it's just you couldn't see the person that was working on him. We disproved that again. There's no fucking blood on anybody's hands. Why is that interesting? Well, if, let's say, to John Bray's theory, the shape charge actually does hit Charlie Kirk in the sternum, and a shape charge, guys, as we've seen, it's going through anything. It's going through a fucking Abrams tank. The sternum's not stopping a shape charge. It's going straight through his sternum, And what's that blocking? Charlie's heart. So let's say, hypothetically, the shape charge goes off, boom, straight through Charlie's heart. It's going to stop his heart immediately. He might get one poof pump, which you may see. You guys saw, remember that big spurt? There was that big spurt that we saw. And then he goes down, and there's no blood. There's like no blood anywhere. There's no blood on the grass. There's no blood on anyone's hands. And what we were initially told was, oh, well, this is what TPUSA told us. Oh, well, the round came in and it hit him in the fucking whatever they said at the time, C2. It tracked down and it actually lodged in his heart and it stopped his heart. And that's why there was no blood evacuation from his body. So there were some other channels that are more into believing the official narrative than I am that tried to explain that away. That's why there was no blood. That's why there was just that one big spurt. There's no blood on the grass. There's no blood on the tables. There's no blood on anybody's hands, is because that blood already evacuated his body, or already evacuated because his heart stopped. But it never made sense for his heart to stop if he was shot in the neck. But if you were hit in the heart by something and your heart stopped immediately, your heart's not going to continue pumping that blood out of your arteries. The blood's just going to pool in your body, guys. You're going to be dead immediately for the most part. But again, these are part of and I'm not saying that this is the end-all be-all theory or that I believe it. I'm just saying this theory explains a lot of things. When we compare it, what we're doing is comparing it to the official narrative. When we compare it to the official narrative, it explains a lot of things that the official narrative cannot explain. And if you just put them side by side, which is John Bray's theory next to the FBI's theory, and if you had to choose one of the two, it really is not that ridiculous because the official narrative is that fucking ridiculous. Right? Again, not saying that this is what happened necessarily. I'm just saying to me, it's not any less realistic than the FBI's fucking story. Personally. Again, not what I'm necessarily going to stake my claim to. But there's a lot more interesting stuff to talk about.
That's at least, I'll speak for myself in saying that I can't just sit around and twiddle my thumbs and wait.
You guys want to poll? You got two choices here. All right. Two choices. This is if you had to choose. Okay. You had to choose one. Gun to your head. Kash Patel's story, John Bray's. The gun to your head. You don't get any other options. You don't get lapel mics. You don't get electrocution. You don't get shot from behind. You just have to choose John Bray's theory compared to the Tyler Robinson 30-06, no exit wounds, didn't rip half his head off. Those are your two choices. From what we've talked about so far. Okay. Again, because we're comparing the official FBI narrative to a theory. So far, John Bray's theory has explained a lot of shit that the FBI doesn't. Now, there's some big issues with it that we talked about, and there's going to be some more issues with it. But for now,
I've got to keep digging.
So the next movement, I guess. So say it explodes, it sends that the magnet in the mic start to go the direction of the, I guess the shape charge would knock it that way.
So a shape charge has to have a standoff. It has to create a jet before it can penetrate. It's not penetrating with brute force. It's actually, creating a high speed jet that's basically turning anything it contacts into liquid. So it needs a 2 centimeter standoff. So they would have to design a primer charge that kind of forces the microphone away from his flesh before the shape charge goes off. And if you look at the particularly Cubs video, the highest resolution video that's kind of to Charlie's right or left hand side, you can see that the microphone lifts up and kind of almost touches his face before it starts to make the trajectory across his body.
All right, we're going to move forward a little bit here.
Microphone, and the trajectory matches perfectly with the appearance of the wound, and the microphone kind of snaps back, and you can just see kind of a bulge where it is, but you don't necessarily ever see the full magnetic clasp again. So it's the timing and the trajectory is what led me to believe that it was a blunt rectangular object from the microphone.
So he's explaining the frag coming off the microphone as it exploded. Like when we saw with the shape charge, that housing mechanism is going to explode. Even though the shape charge itself is creating that jet, the housing mechanism is what gives that frag that hits Charlie in the neck.
That causes the neck wound, combined with the actual physical, traits of the wound itself. It's not a high velocity wound. That was a medium velocity wound. And that because of the delayed bleeding, and then also the deformation of the skin. It was just, the skin was flexed outwards. It wasn't like a cavitation from a high energy impact.
So I'm going to push back on John on this one. We definitely do see cavitation in Charlie Kirk's neck that is representative of a high power rifle round. But to John's point, what we didn't see is typically the wound itself did not act like a high-powered rifle round, right? A carotid artery being shot by a high-powered rifle round would expect an explosion of that atomized blood, that pink mist blood, that arterial bleeding blood that would have come out with that, the foamy blood that we didn't see.
And then the bleeding was so strange and delayed.
Yep.
And we can't show it here, but I actually have code that has mapped the fluid dynamics of the blood. And I've been able to actually track the rectangular object falling out of his neck from two different angles. So
now I wish we had this video.
The trajectory matching.
I wish we had this video because John says he's actually got video of a piece of frag coming out of his neck. It doesn't show it here. I don't know if he's shown it on his Twitter before. I wish I could see that. If that's the case, if there's something actual compelling where we can see a piece of frag falling out of his neck in real time, that would be, that would be hard to argue against. But they didn't show it in this video.
The portion where the wound appears, but I also have a rectangular object, flat black object falling out of the wound from two different angles. Also, either the magnetic clasp or the battery. It was something dense and rectangular.
Okay, so you don't think it was like shrapnel from the mic exploding?
That's what I mean. It's shrapnel from it, but the shrapnel was the dense object being the magnetic clasp or the battery itself.
Unintentional.
A lot of people are asking, like, how can the mic and the mic magnet go towards like anywhere? Shouldn't it just explode away from the body?
It's because it's a shaped charge. Imagine it's like a jet. So it's not explosive where it's a radial explosive where it's exploding in all directions.
Now, again, this isn't necessarily true, right? The shape charge itself that's hitting Charlie Kirk, and again, John, it's very complicated what he's trying to explain. The shape charge itself is directional and hitting Charlie Kirk in the chest. It's the housing mechanism where the actual explosive itself is that explodes upwards that's creating that frag is what he's explaining.
This is an explosion that has a directed path. And
so
the only expansion comes out of that directed path, the cone. So it's like, like a rocket engine. When you launch a rocket engine, it just doesn't explode everywhere. It sends a directed path in one direction, and that causes a trajectory, and it follows that trajectory quickly.
So that would mean in this case, equal and opposite reaction. That would mean that the shape charge would have had to have been pointed down and away from him, correct? To push everything up towards him?
Right. And so the variable comes in is the primer charge, where they have to create the standoff space. So combined with the odd angle that the microphone was kind of mounted on him, it wasn't mounted flat against his body. It was kind of like stood on its side. And then
So what he's explaining here, guys, for the shape charge, he's talking about the battery mechanism itself. It can't actually just be flat connected to his body. It would have had to have horizontal offset because there's got to be space that develops time for that shape charge to start to expand out and move forward. So he's saying there's a secondary priming charge that's allowing that. That's what it's doing is it's allowing, and this is complicated. It's allowing for, instead of that microphone being right here on his chest, as that explosion goes off, it's giving separation. It's pushing away so that that shape charge can then do what it needs to do. I know it's just, excuse me. Cough got me. It's complicated shit, but it's not too complicated when it comes to making an IED. This is not complicated. Dirt farmers in Afghanistan and Iraq build these guys in mud huts. Okay, it's not that complicated. It's complex to explain, but to build, no. People in mud huts built these and fucking killed a lot of Americans with these. So from a developing it standpoint, no, trust me. A lot of global war on terror veterans were killed by this exact thing. So it's very, very doable.
The standoff charge, which it's my belief that they anticipated the mic to be flat on his body, and the standoff charge was made to raise the microphone directly away from his body before the primary shape charge went off. But because the microphone was kind of mounted on its side, when the standoff charge went off, it lifted it up. So then it changed the trajectory. When the shape charge went off, it basically created like a rocket engine that caused it to travel across his chest instead of it directing the charge directly into his chest. And a shape charge is 90% efficient, more than 90% efficient of directing the energy to one direction. So the whole equal and opposite, it doesn't really apply because we're sending less than a gram of metal cone.
All right, I'm going to move forward a little bit because, again, this is super deep technical stuff that's definitely hard to understand. But, all right, here is an example of what this looks like after the fact when you're talking about shrapnel from the explosion in one of these pagers.
Is the walkie-talkie.
Walkie-talkie, okay. Yeah. So now I'm just bringing this up because with the Candace Owens kind of dropped that bomb in one of her videos saying that there's the little specks, the little black specks on the floor inside of her car. Have you seen that yet?
Yeah.
So the car that Charlie was in, and they're saying that might be from, people are implying that might be from the explosion, like pieces of the pager
So we did see this, and there was in TPUSA's vehicle a bunch of black fragged shit on the floorboards that looked just like this. That supposedly fell out of Charlie Kirk's shirt.
In this case of the audio, that exploded, and these little tiny pieces they're seeing in the car were from that. What do you think about that?
I believe.
Yeah, I'm actually the one that sent her the message about that.
Now, this is just an example. This would be destroyed way, way, way more than this, but just as an example.
The type of plastic that you see in the floorboard too would match the plastic you could expect from that device. So you have flat black plastic, and then you have glossy plastic. The glossy plastic is the actual face of the case, which the battery is right behind that O there.
There it is. Now, again, you would expect something like this, I think, would be like super fragmented, but I guess that's what all this shit is all over the floor. This is black plastic shrapnel type shit that's all over the floor. Supposedly fell out of Charlie Kirk's shirt. I can't confirm that or not, but that's what we were told.
So that immediate charge would basically shatter that into, a million little pieces like glass. And then the primary charge would further break the inner core of the device, which you showed earlier when the battery was kind of popped out of the device. It's all flat black on the inside of it.
All right, we're going to move forward just a little bit here to 31.
Stem damage and the way he hit the ground.
All right, it's out of the way. Do you think that there's any chance Charlie's still alive?
If he's still alive, he's the greatest actor that's ever lived. I mean, he nailed the physical reaction of the midbrain and brainstem damage, and the way he hit the ground. I have videos of him hitting the ground slow motion. It was devastating. I mean, his head bounced off the ground. It was absolutely limp.
And then
I'm
Charles
a
McClintock,
firm
yeah.
I'm firm belief that his heart was almost stopped before he even hit the ground.
Well, and I know that Charles McClintock says he has an image where his neck is destroyed, based on the way his head's hanging. So that, I mean, I know a lot of people want hope that he's still alive, but
yeah, that ain't for me, guys. We'll do a poll on that. I know a lot of people, the more crazy shit gets, the more people believe he's still alive. Why don't we throw that one up there? Let's see who. I do not subscribe to this at all, personally, but I know a lot of you guys do. So let's get a poll as we keep moving here. What do you guys think? Is Charlie still alive? Are you guys one of the super tinfoilers?
I'm not sure if anyone can guarantee that. People asking, could the necklace have had something in it? Like,
no, that's not a thing. No way. Not big enough. All right, let's keep moving to why the shirt didn't rip, because this is another big problem.
And the microphone is just the most convenient thing to target with explosives, because you have all the electronics, you have the battery, it's going to be on his chest, literally against his chest. It's just really, really convenient. And he doesn't have it most of the time. If his cross he's wearing, all the time, it would just be a lot more difficult to get access to the cross to plant an explosive in it.
now this is a very common one. People are asking, well, if an explosion went off under a shirt, how come it didn't tear or mark his shirt? Why is there no explosion marks? Why is there no tears that are obvious?
This is a big, 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 big problem for this theory, for sure.
If there was enough force to kill him, then why wouldn't it have left some kind of marking or tearing?
And that's a very valid question, and it comes down to the use of the shape charge. They're made to be very efficient in directing that energy in one direction. So it's like having, like I said before, a rocket engine where you have a lot of propellant, you have a lot of energy, but there's only one path for it to escape.
So here's what I'm going to push back on John on this one. That's not a good explanation for why there's no damage to the shirt. Because keep in mind, remember, the shape charge itself is blowing into Charlie Kirk's sternum. So yes, that would make sense technically, and why there would be no damage to the shirt. However, we also know we're talking about the housing mechanism exploding and throwing frag up into his neck and things like that. Well, that housing mechanism would have blown out and caused massive ripping and tearing and all sorts of different shit in that shirt, in my opinion. There's no way that you get all this frag that's going to blow up into his neck, but we don't see any damage to the shirt at all. That's probably the biggest problem with this theory, is that this microphone being underneath his shirt, blowing frag into his neck with no damage to the shirt. That's a big one. That's a big, big problem. All right. Maybe it's a white shirt. We can't tell from the video. It's not high fidelity enough. Okay. There's different ways you could explain around it, but to explain that, or to suggest, well, there's no damage to the shirt because the shape charge is directional. Well, yeah, the shape charge is directional, but guys, we just watched this video, right? Where we'll show it again one more time. The shape charge did a great job on the steel.
All right, on today's episode.
But you see what happened to everything that the housing mechanism was connected to.
EFP versus blank. In this corner, we have a 10mm AR-500 steel plate, graciously donated by Grizzly Targets. In the other corner, we have our 80mm 3D printed EFP. This bad boy can punch through armor like a hot knife through butter. Will the plate survive the wrath of the EFP? Only one way to find out, and that's to blow it up.
So again, I'll show it one more time, but as you saw, everything around that housing mechanism explodes in 360 degrees. Yeah. Now again, that's way bigger shape charge than what we're talking about. But you would expect, you'd have massive hole blown into that shirt. I would assume, based off of what we would expect. So I think when we're talking about there's going to be big problems with the theory as well, answers a lot of questions, big problems. with some other questions as well. All right. And that, for me, that's a big, you got to be able to explain that. And that wasn't an explanation for that, for the frag side of things.
And that path is through a very directed metal cone. And as that explosion expands, it's slowly releasing out of that metal cone and creating a really high speed jet that penetrates.
Right, we're going to keep moving here a little bit forward.
From a traditional explosive. It's not something that we're accustomed to seeing. You can look at examples of, armor penetrating shape charges and kind of see how cleanly they make the holes and how they don't even have to put a backing on it. They just set it on the metal, right? And it makes a big giant hole. And
a lot of people don't realize too that it's used on a much larger scale. They use it in war.
Yeah,
I mean, they use shape charges to
they use these to blow up tanks typically.
To blow through tanks and stuff like that. So the technology is just miniaturized for this use case.
Yeah. And it's very quiet too. It sounds like a firework. So.
Okay, here's a big problem. Another big problem. See what John just said? It's very, very quiet. EFPs are not loud. It's not your typical explosive boom type of thing. What's the real big problem, guys, if you've got a quiet EFP that goes off? The real big problem becomes, where'd the gunshot come from? We know there was a gunshot. We don't know exactly what caliber it was. Was it a 5.56? Was it a 30-06? I don't think it was a pistol. You hear the snap boom. It sounds supersonic for sure. So where'd the gunshot? We know a high-powered rifle gunshot went off. So now this is added layers of complexity. Now you have to have a patsy. You've got to have Tyler Robinson. He's got to be using probably blank rounds to create that big of a boom, but to not actually shoot Charlie, right? So this is another really, really big problem when it comes to that, is how do we explain the big rifle round, which I think he may give an explanation for. Let's see.
So, that's the other thing about the rifle. It's like you wouldn't need a lot of sound to kind of muffle it and make it where people wouldn't notice that there was an explosion, right on his person. It just, any sort of distraction would make it easy for people to overlook it.
So what are your thoughts on the sound itself? So a lot of audio engineers and audio forensics people are saying that there was a crack thump that was consistent with a high power rifle and all those things. So what are your thoughts on that?
I absolutely think that there was a 30-06 shot that day. I think there was a supersonic crack. All that definitely happened, but I think it was more of a ruse to provide cover for the explosion and also to tie the assassination to the patsy. The area that it happened in is so tricky because there's a corridor, there's concrete walls on both sides, like large flat concrete walls, and then we're dealing with audio from cell phones, which are, they clip. There's a lot of challenges, and the biggest thing I have a problem with is that the rifle sound came through the PA system. If you look at the videos, all the videos that the cameras can see the PA speakers, the rifle sound is so much louder than the videos where the cameras aren't in direct sight.
So, all right, let's talk about this. Now, it's so hard to tell, to his point, like listening to gunshots over an iPhone, it's almost impossible to tell what they are. You're not going to get any real good understanding of it. I mean, when we're out at the range doing firearms training and filming it, a pistol round sounds like a 30-06 round right next to the gun. But here's the real big problem. Okay, now with the theory, now we have to have Tyler Robinson as the patsy. He has to have a 30-06. And not only does he have to have a 30-06, now he has to time. This is another huge problem. He has to time the gunshot of the 30-06 perfectly with the explosion going off from the shape charge. And I can tell you guys from doing tactical things in combat, trying to coordinate something like this is like perfectly is it's near impossible. It's so complex. It's so hard to pull off, right? And here's what I would say. Why do you need to use a microphone pager bomb if you've got a guy on a roof with a fucking gun that can just shoot him in the face? You know what I mean? So this is what I don't like about this theory. This is, I like there's parts of the theory I like. I like the beginning of the theory where it's like, hey, this could be something that just a random, not a random person, but somebody that wanted to get to Charlie swaps out this microphone pager bomb, puts it on Charlie. It's in circulation for a couple months and they decide to let it off. Right. But the problem then becomes, well, now we have to add in a patsy. Now we have to add in a 30-06. Now we have to add in a perfectly timed gunshot that goes with the explosion. Now we also have to have the security detail in it because they can see that he's got a caved in chest. We've got to add in everybody involved, TPUSA. We've got to add in the surgeons. We got to add in the coroners. We got to add in the medical examiners. We got to add in law enforcement. We got to add in the FBI. That's where it all starts to fall apart for me, is that it becomes too many moving pieces, too complex. If we just had just the exploding mic and none of the added other shit, gunshots and everybody involved, it would be, to me, far more compelling overall. But when we start to add 1,000 different moving pieces, it's to me, it's too complicated. It's too complicated. But at the same time, there's so many pieces to this that answer questions the official narrative cannot answer. And that's where it gets fucking bizarre. Because I can go through the official narrative and I can pick that apart and say this, and this don't work and don't make sense also. So where does that leave us? What's the fucking answer? The problem is, I still don't know. And that's what's made this story so fucking crazy for everybody. There's not a single theory that's been put forward that just goes, oh, yep, solves the case. From the official narrative to the craziest narratives, there's always pieces of each that make sense that could work, but then, oh, well, this, and this don't work. Right? So if we believe the official narrative, Tyler Robinson, lone gunman, never been to UVU campus, somehow shows up, he knows exactly where to go. Right? He's got his broken down 30-06 that doesn't fit in the backpack that he's got, but he somehow has it fitting in the backpack with a change of clothes, by the way. He gets to the roof, undetected, puts the gun back together, takes the shot, 30-06 round, by the way, hits Charlie Kirk in the neck, no exit wound, none of the typical anatomical things we'd expect to see at all. Right? Runs off the roof. I don't know if he's got it, where this rifle is at this point. Broke it down. Maybe he's got it. Maybe he doesn't. Runs into the bushes, escapes, throws it into a chicken coop, immediately admits to everything to his trans furry boyfriend, who disappears, by the way. We still have no idea where Lance Twiggs is. No one knows where this guy is. Goes home. Media says dad turns him in. Turns out dad didn't turn him in. Turns out family friends somehow recognized him from a photo that doesn't even look like him. Tells him the SWAT team's going to show up and kill him. He turns himself in. That's the official narrative. You listen to the official narrative and you're like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever fucking heard in my life. So then all of a sudden, when we listen to other theories like John Bray, you're like, oh, a lot of this kind of makes sense. There's a lot of problems with it. But what's the answer, guys? This one, I think, is one of the most compelling. Again, there's huge problems with it. It just gets so complicated by the end. But it does answer a lot of things that the 30-06 can't answer. So I don't know what you guys think. We're gonna wrap up. That's gonna be the first half of first 2/3 of the show. the John Bray theory. Then we're going to move into the Frangible round testing here next. We're going to do super chats, some super chats first. I don't even know. I don't know, guys. Because we look at a theory like that and we're like, that's so complicated, right? But then I just went over the official FBI narrative and you're like, yeah, but that's fucking dumb. Like, that's obviously not true. So I don't know. I wish I had the answers. You would think by now. I'm making it. Somebody said I'm making it complicated. Could you imagine? Nate's making the Charlie Kirk assassination complicated. Me? I'm making it complicated? Okay. That's why it's still the biggest story on the internet 4 months later, is because Nate's made it so complicated. Okay. I feel like I've actually brought us back to earth on every theory. Every single theory, Nate's been the one that's kind of like brought us back to reality a little bit. Looked at what's possible, lapel mic theories, electrocution theories, shot from behind theories. Come on now. Come on now. Oh, we got Jameson in the chat. Jameson in here. All right. Let's hit some super chats, then we're going to move into the Frangible round testing. Interesting. You're going to find out that maybe the Frangible round theory, like our buddy Chuck Ritter talked about, maybe doesn't work either. Maybe it doesn't work either. But we'll find out. We're going to look at some actual Frangible round testing. Let's hit some super chats. Sorry I wasn't keeping up with him. I needed to grind through that. Had to let me cook. Am I a spook? No, I was never in the CIA. I'm not Andrew Buscemante, boys. Unfortunately, I'm not the Bucinator. Didn't make it that high up on the high side of anything. Just a Green Beret. Not that cool. All right, let's hit some super chats, then we'll jump into the Frangible round testing. See what that turned into. All right, let's assume Tyler's a patsy. How does one get chosen? Be okay with being a patsy as an FBI hit job? MK Ultra. If you want to learn about how the CIA and our government has convinced people to do things like this, please Google MK Ultra, watch some YouTube videos, go down that rabbit hole, and you will start to very quickly understand that our government does this to young men all the fucking time. All the time. So, this theory makes the most sense to me. Way more than 30-06. Really curious what your take is on it. Happy New Year. Ian was on Tucker as well. I haven't watched the episode yet, man. But I have to. Kind of backlogged. Everyone is live today. Yeah, big live day. Is Ian still live? Holy shit. Ian he was like live at like 10 in the morning. Guys, is Ian still live? Somebody let me know. I'm not going to look through it. God, he's been live for like 7 hours, 8 hours. Just crushing. I don't know if he's given up yet. He's still live? Oh my God. All right. Well, if we get done before Ian's done, then we're going to send the live stream over there. But we'll keep moving here. All right. Is it bad that I don't want to re-enlist after seeing the direction the government is going? I've been in 6 years and not sure like where it's going. Here's the thing, man. When it comes to service, do not look at it by what your government is doing. You can't, man. The government is going to ebb and sway. Who's in charge? Left, right, whatever president. If you're going to do a 20-year career, you're going to work under fucking different administrations, different governments, different economic situations. You either got to do it because you love it or don't do it, man. Make the decision for yourself, not based off of what a shitty government you work for. Because, by the way, every government in the entire fucking world is corrupt and a piece of shit. So don't do it for the government. Do it for yourself. I think we should talk to Tatum on this. He's a subject matter expert on things like this. A joke. Calm down. Yes, Officer Tatum, definitely the guy I turn to when I want expertise on things like this. America First hat ordered. Keep up the good work. Hell yeah, David. Appreciate it. Yeah, we got them in stock, guys. They're all in stock. Everything's in stock. We all seen and heard CK get shot. Why are we still discussing explosion, mics, pagers, and electrocution? Because the official narrative doesn't make any fucking sense. So that's pretty much why. That's really not any more complicated than that. If the official narrative made 100% sense, then the story would have been done 4 months ago. But it doesn't. To all the people calling every theory dumb and stupid, by all means, tell us what happened. Enlighten us. We'd all love to know. Keith, great point. Everybody can call theories dumb, but nobody can provide you a theory that actually makes sense. Hey, brother, I know you get enormous amount. Sent a compelling video from behind. Sounds man slam down. Can see a square object. Puff out shirt on back. Did you send me that on Instagram? I'll take a look for it. Send me it on Instagram. Would you consider reviewing Ukraine combat footage and give a take on how U.S. forces might handle these scenarios and more to come? No, because I can't talk about Ukraine on this channel because they'll immediately demonetize and limit my videos. Because I don't simp for Ukraine. So they don't let me talk about it. You guys think I'm kidding? I'm not kidding. That's a real thing on YouTube. If you don't simp for Ukraine, they will automatically fucking hammer your channel. I tried a few times and they gutted my channel for it. So nope, we don't talk about Ukraine. Welcome to free speech. I'd like to, though, by the way. Nothing wrong with your audio. Your mic's just a little bit quieter. Yeah, I know I had it too far away from me for a bit. Love the work you're doing. Glad I found you, boss. Keep it up. Thank you, Jenks. Appreciate you, brother. AJ, thank you. I just saw you in the live chat still here. Appreciate you being here. Triggersmart. What's up, brother? Hey, Nate, thanks for reviewing the theories. The pager circulated for 10 years. I've been trying to get a hold of you. What's the best way? Hit me up on Instagram, brother, or I'll find you and I'll message you on Instagram. All right, and then we'll connect if you're still here. I mean, I don't know if Trigger's still here, but I'll message him on Instagram anyway. Also, guys, in the description, it's going to be in the pinned comment over to all of Triggersmart's videos because we're reviewing both his videos tonight. Great channel, by the way. Thank you very much, brother. Shirt looks like a low suction wake pressure differential causing the shirt to wave, like that's something moving really fast upwards bullet or an explosion. Again. To my point, the 30-06 shot to the neck does not explain the massive stuff we see coming from the shirt, the cavitation in the chest, all these different things. None of it makes sense. So maybe they used a different material for the mic. Interesting. Nick Shirley, Somali fraud guy, got exposed for being Israel-funded allied. Shout out James Lee for reporting. What a shame. Is he? Is Shirley a 7K clubber? I know Cam Higbee is. Cam Higbee is like fucking full scale Talmud Tatum. Is Shirley wait, is JD in here? Everybody's saying JD. JD's got to be in the chat. I didn't see him. Oh, there he is. Oh. Appreciate it. Well, hey, don't tell JD. Hey, don't tell JD that Shirley is a 7K asset. JD's friends with Nick, by the way, guys. So don't be making JD upset. But if that's true, that's going to be kind of disappointing. I don't know anything about that, guys. But if that's the case, then sorry, dude. You get a from me for that one. I'll have to look into that, though. I haven't seen anything about that. But I'm not saying you're wrong. Makes sense for them to do it on camera to avoid suspicion, but it backfired. 100% inside job. I believe that more now than ever. Guys, it was fake. Time to come to grips. No blood drops, no first aid. CK's first signal. Nobody took over, and everybody says FBI, EMTs, doctor, security, TPUSA, Erica are in on it. CK didn't die that day. I think he did, but that doesn't necessarily discount the rest of stuff you said. All right. Nixon's Revenge says the mic theory doesn't hold up. A mic can be oriented in any direction, so a projectile could go anywhere. Pager screen. This is actually kind of true, depending on what he was doing with his body. Pager screen is directional. It can only read one way. The constraint alone debunks it. Great point. When you have a pager, you pull it up to look at it, and that's what happened. They would pull up and look at it, and it would explode in their face. Good comment. Didn't even think that. I agree there's so much stuff that does not even make sense, and they don't even care. TPUSA is neck deep in money issues. Yeah, I wanted to cover that on this episode, guys, but it would take too long. And I hadn't had chance to dig into the new audit, or not the new audit, but the information that's come out about Charlie Kirk auditing his own company. I haven't had a time to. Maybe we'll do that one next week. I didn't have time to get to it before today's video, so we're just doing the exploding mic and the frangible rounds. We're doing frangible rounds next. But thank you. Considering Kirk was turning away from that little hat lobby and their use of the sort of tech before, this seems highly plausible. Yeah, when you start to think about it that way. Who was it that made those pagers? The same people we kind of think might have been behind killing Charlie. Maybe. Allegedly. I don't want to get shot in the face while I'm live streaming from our friendly neighborhood Mossad. All right. I was combat engineer. Probably shouldn't have even said that. I'm probably going to get demonetized for that, but you know, oh well. I was combat engineer and did daily route clearance. Oh boy, here we go. I was combat engineer, did daily route clearance in Fallujah and Ramadi in 2007. Not quite sold on the mic theory yet. No experience with charges that small, but your EFP info is all accurate. And I bet you fucking dealt with those, Mike. I bet you dealt with a lot of that bullshit. Glad you're still with us. All right. Also ties right in with the Trump pardon for Boyer. Think about all the covered, like, inbred little snakes. He's sitting on a beach somewhere. Oh, maybe this is with some of the accounting stuff I haven't looked into yet. Cough drops. I actually got some right here somewhere. We're doing okay. We only coughed one or two times the whole live stream. Thank you, Mark. We'll do a couple more supers, and then we'll jump into the second part of the show. Does he address the sound of the gunshot? Wouldn't the acoustics be telling? So we just talked about that. Yes, John's theory is that there was a 30-06 and there was a 30-06 gunshot, and I don't like that. I don't like that theory. It's too complicated for me. That part of the theory. Well, NASA pulled off. We landed on the moon, so it seems plausible. Let's do a poll, guys. This is not even like anything relevant to what we're talking about, but I always love this one. Who believes we landed on the moon? Let's do a poll. Just because this is a fun one. This always gets everybody riled up. Who believes we landed on the moon? Send them, boys. A couple more super chats for jumping into the Frangible round testing side of things. Okay, one last time. No one and no pics, not even hospital footage. And Nate even said his hands were not even real in the coffin. True, definitely not. Nothing but bizarre behavior from the second the shot was heard. Correct. No hospital footage. Obviously not Charlie in the coffin. More bizarreness. Thank you, Tennessee. Hardwood Harrison says, while we contemplate this mystery, we spend less time on provable criminals on the Epstein saga. Oh, you think we can do anything about getting accountability for Epstein, bro? I love your optimism. But, bro, the government's giving a fat middle finger to everybody's face on that. We're getting nothing from the Epstein files. Wish we were, but yeah, that's a big no-go. A ruptured carotid should have been gushing out everywhere unless his circulation stopped immediately. And that's the idea behind the shape charge hitting him in the sternum and stopping his heart immediately. And that's why you didn't see that sort of blood atomization or anything like that. An implant in his neck while he was unconscious? I don't know. That would be weird. Initial charge caused shirt movement and misdirected secondary charge. Secondary charge meant for chest went to the neck, upwards into the brain. Yeah, that's part of the theory. All right, two more, then we're getting back into it. Not to make light of CK's death, but I'm more willing to believe dinosaurs on a speedboat killed him than Tyler Robinson. At this point, it could be the dinosaurs. I don't even know, guys. People need to do their research on basic ballistics testing. For those here tonight, they need to take a lot of this info in rather than being smooth brain. Much love, Nate. Thanks for the info. Appreciate it, man. Yeah, I was hoping to bring you guys like more context to the theory, right? Rather than just like talking about it, like actually show you how the shape charges work, show the possibilities, show the issues. That's what I try to do on my channel. Not just do the slop side of things. That's, fun and conspiratorial, but actually like break things down. So I hope you guys found this one interesting. All right, let's jump into it. We're going to watch the next video. We're going to watch again from Triggersmart, two videos from Triggersmart tonight. And this one, he actually went out and tested Frangible rounds. And the results are not what you would expect. Well, maybe you would. Well, we'll find out. Let's watch this together.
Hello and welcome back to Triggersmart. I am out here at the range. I hope you guys appreciate this because it is freezing out here.
Let's actually, before we do this, since we use two of Triggersmart's videos, I know I have them in the description, but I want to make sure we give him a big shout out. So let's put Triggersmart's actual channel in the pinned comment in the description, or the live pinned comment. instead of the merch store. If you haven't grabbed some merch, well, you know where to find it. Let's get Triggersmart's channel up here. So everybody, make sure you go give him a subscribe. Great content. I watch all his stuff. All right. So anyway, let's get back to it. Let's watch his 30-06. No, context to this, guys. No, never mind. I'll let Triggersmart explain it, because it actually proves the point that I brought up when we started talking about frangible rounds.
And I'm going to be doing some testing. I'm going to be shooting, but here's the interesting part. I'm testing frangible ammo. So I had my source at number 10, Jacques. I had him go out and check and see if he could find some frangible ammo. He was not able to find 30-06 frangible.
Now imagine that. Who told you guys that it's almost impossible to find 30-06 frangible ammo? And people said, no, that's not true. It's everywhere. No, it's not. It's extremely hard to find. So he's using 5.56 frangible ammo, but it actually is going to make the testing more ridiculous when you realize he used a round half as big and still got the results. Oh,
there are World War II like stockpiles of it and stuff like that. And there are some very rare companies that make it that you might be able to source. But he has a FFL and a business that regularly sources this stuff, and he couldn't find anything except 5.56. So today I'm shooting 5.56 frangible ammo, and we're going to be hitting several things. We're going to be testing on the rubber mat material. We're going to be looking at, obviously, our fruit, our water, cinder blocks, wood, and then, of course, our steel. Now, typically, we are going to expect that any hard surface like the cinder block and the steel are going to work properly with the frangible ammo. The real question is it going to work when we hit something softer? I also got some pork shoulders to test it out. They're about the size of a human neck for most people. And then I got this nice chunky ribeye over here. And I apologize for the shooting in the background if it's loud, but I have this nice ribeye here with a chunky bone in it. And we're going to see if we can get that frangible ammo to break on it. All right, guys, here we go. So I'm going to be shooting all these different items. So we're going to be with full metal jacket first of each item. And then we're going to do frangible rounds of Fiochis, each item. And then after we're done, then obviously we're going to compare the damage and that kind of stuff. The thing that's interesting is that based on the research that I've done, these frangible rounds will probably pass through just about everything, except maybe the cinder block and the steel. I'm actually really curious if it's going to stop in that bone on that beef, but we'll find out. And I'm shooting my 10.5 Stag Arms, has the Velo suppressor. And then, of course, we have our full metal jacket and our frangible rounds here. And we're going to start off with steel with non-frangible full metal jacket. And wood, full metal jacket. All right, now we're switching over to frangible. And we're going to shoot the steel first.
Hard to see, just
And
exploding.
then we're going to shoot frangible at the wood. All right, next we're going to shoot at the infinity target.
All right, let's move forward to the good stuff here, which is the Charlie Kirk-esque. Could Charlie Kirk's neck have stopped a 30-06 frangible round? Now, keep in mind, again, Triggersmart's using a 5.56 frangible round, much smaller, much less powerful, significantly less powerful than a 30-06 round. Let's see. Oh, we went too far.
Right. It is elastic. It has some give, but I left that on for that reason. And then after that, we're going to shoot our roast that has a bone. And first, we're going to shoot full metal jacket at the left pork roast.
Straight through. Full metal jacket. But again, Charlie Kirk's neck stopped a round twice as big and twice as powerful. But you know.
Now we're going to shoot frangible
Here we
pork
go.
roast.
This is where it gets interesting.
All right, let's go check it out. By the way, this frangible ammo is $1 a round. All right, now remember, some of you were saying that it could have been like a 5.56 closer or some kind of pistol round or something. And I mean, look at this. All right, now this goes to show you what people are talking about when you can barely find or never see an entry wound. Look at that. You have the little plastic right there.
Yep.
That tiny little hole right there, right above my thumb, that's the entry. You can barely see it. All right. That's your exit.
Boom.
And you can see in
Massive
this
hole.
case, obviously there's some cinder block in it because the cinder block was right behind it. Blew that out. Now that's just with 5.56.
Yeah, that round's half the size of a 30-06 round, by the way.
That's not even a 30-06, which is significantly more powerful. All right. Now, look at the cinder block.
Straight through.
Went straight through the front. Now let's see if it went through the back. Shattered the whole thing. Okay, now looking inside, you can see it destroyed everything, but it looks like it did not go all the way through. So it didn't go through the back, but it did crack the back.
And again, this is a round way smaller and way less powerful than Tyler Robbins supposedly used.
Okay. All right. Now we're looking at Frangible. And you can see, similarly, very, very small entry wound. Now remember, these are like 22 size bullets against 5.56, 223. But very small on the inside. Let's see how the back looks. All right. Now on the back of this, you can see.
Uh-oh. The 5.56 frangible round blew straight through the pork and the bone. Uh-oh.
Still blown out. And there is some concrete
Yep.
from the cinder block in it. But you can see it still blew it out.
Uh-oh.
So you would definitely see an exit wound. And then on this one,
It did stop
it did not go
on the
through the
cinder,
cinder block. It
but it did go through all the meat and the bone of the pork shoulder.
didn't even crack the cinder block, but it did take this chunk out here, right? But the frangible bullet has broken up down here.
Yep.
And you can actually see some pieces of it there. The frangible, when it hits something hard, it did break up. So now we're going to test it on this beef with the bone in it and see what happens.
Here we go.
All right, now here's the grand finale. Is this
Here we go.
5.56 frangible ammo that we saw break up on the concrete block? Is that going to hit the bone after going through the flesh that's about the same thickness as a human neck? And is it going to kind of break and explode on impact? Or is it just going to shatter the bone and then hit the block behind it? You're going to say this looks pretty thin and weak. Well, from the side,
No, that's
look at the
thick as
thickness.
shit.
That's
And
about the
bone.
same as those pork roasts, about the same as a human neck.
Yep.
So I'm going to shoot right through the lower part of it, and it's going to hit that bone on the back. And what we're trying to see is it going to go through the flesh and stop at the bone with the frangible round, or is it going to go through and hit the cinder block? And if you guys appreciate me doing this in the freezing cold, not like Jesse in heavy duty country wearing tank tops out in Texas.
Oh, shots fired at my boys. Shots fired at my boys.
Hit that like button.
Uh-oh. Here we go. Let's see.
Looked like a pretty good shot. All right. Make sure we're clear.
The great range safety etiquette by Triggersmart right there.
All right, so here's what we have. Pretty sizable entry hole. Some pretty good damage. Nice wound cavity. Come on the other side.
Straight through.
And that was a pretty direct hit, right? That went straight through that bone. Blew out the side and went straight through the bone. And it wasn't a edge shot, right? So the hole's actually closer to the middle. And you can see that bone that's thicker than human vertebrae went right through it. Blew it out. And it also made another big chunk.
Blew a chunk out of the cinder block afterwards.
All right, so what's the takeaway here? Well, we shot just about everything you could think of, hard and soft. Obviously, we have to look at the slow-mo, but I mean, frangible ammo, 5.56, 223, has less power, less foot-pounds of force hitting.
Yep.
It can be a fast round, and it is smaller, but in this case, it went straight through the bone, everything else. So I would say, even with a frangible 30-06, that has significantly more power at the 140 yards. I would say frangible is not going to make a difference.
Oh, shit. So, what do we learn from that? What we learned from that is that frangible 5.56 rounds, which are way smaller. I've got to have 5.56 rounds here somewhere. My 30-06 rounds. I got shit everywhere in here, guys. Here we go. Oh, these are all big boys. Anyway, whatever. You guys know. A 5.56 round is about half the size of a 30-06 round. So what Triggersmart just showed is that 5.56 or 2.23 frangible rounds still blew straight through 5, 6, 7 inches of meat through bone and blasted a massive chunk out of a cinder block behind it. That's a round way smaller and less powerful than a 30-06. So now we're even talking about that the realistic possibility that a 30-06 frangible round was stopped by Charlie Kirk's little neck is also probably a 1 in 1,000 chance. A regular Full Metal Jacket round is probably a 1 in 50,000, 1 in 100,000 chance. Frangible round, and again, I'm just spitballing, is probably still, and this is a frangible round is the most likely round that could possibly explain the official narrative. It's the most likely round that could possibly explain the official narrative, even though it doesn't make sense. Because where did Tyler Robinson, this 22-year-old dipshit kid that just only played Magic the Gathering and video games, and I'm not trying to beat up on the gamers out there, boys, I'm not. I'm just saying the idea that Tyler Robinson, 22-year-old kid with the character profile of Magic the Gathering, the idea that he was tracking down 30-06 frangible rounds to begin with, that was fucking dumb. But even if he did, even the frangible rounds would have probably gone straight through Charlie Kirk's neck. Almost guaranteed. So where does that leave us? Where does that leave us? Well, that leaves us thinking a Full Metal Jacket 30-06 round. If a 5.56 frangible round is blowing straight through something stronger than a human neck, this big bastard, what are the odds of a 30-06 Full Metal Jacket round not literally ripping half this dude's fucking head off? This is not, there's no realistic possibility to it. I know other content creators want to tell you, no, this is normal. 20% of the time, this could possibly happen. Yes, maybe. Not 20% of the time. That's fucking retarded. Don't listen to that if you hear that. Maybe it was, guys, and here's the thing, people win the lottery. They do. People win the Powerball. Right? Some people win the Powerball. Maybe Tyler Robinson, in the luckiest moment of his entire life, Tyler Robinson's Powerball moment, his 1 in 100,000 shot, was the time he decides to clack off that 30-06 round. Maybe. I am not discounting it because it is possible, right? It is possible, but fuck, dude. I mean, Triggersmart just showed you like a round half as powerful. A frangible round half as powerful as a 30-06 round is still blowing straight through a human neck. So, it's tough, boys. It's tough out here. I'm not sure now, but now, here's something else we have to think. Now, remember now, the news story that the surgeon supposedly is now saying, like, oh, it was a frangible round. Well, guess what? Now we know that's probably a made-up fucking story, too. So what? So what, like, the shit coming out of TPUSA, at some point, like, where did this fucking medical examiner's report come from? Where is all this information coming from? Is the surgeon actually saying anything to anyone? Or are we just like flying, if we're TPUSA right now, we're just like fucking flying by the seat of our pants, guys. We're like, fuck it, boys. Whatever like Valhalla puts out and shows with Firearms Trainer, Triggersmart shows that now Triggersmart's proved that the fucking frangible theory makes no sense. What's TPUSA going to come out and say next? Just kidding. Wasn't a frangible round. Now that Triggersmart showed it, it's not possible either. What are we going to get in the trial? What are we going to, what are they going to show us in the trial? Are they really going to like just walk out there and be like, yep, here's the gun. Here's the fucking 30-06 Full Metal Jacket rounds. There they are. Yep, just turns out there was no exit wound. That's the way it goes. But his DNA is on the gun, so he's guilty because hey, he admitted to it to his boyfriend in the most like AI slopped text message we've ever seen. It's insane. I figured like, hey, maybe the new frangible round theory, it was the most likely possibility that could maybe make the 30-06 work. And now we look at it and go, okay, that's fucking dumb. That's dumb too. And I actually did have a couple buddies. One of my buddies is a Marine Scout sniper. After I did that frangible round video, he messaged me and he was like, dude, frangible rounds are going straight through fucking Charlie Kirk's neck too. Like 100%, 99% of the time. And I was like, well, at least it's less likely than a Full Metal Jacket round or a soft point. So now I don't know what to think. Because now if a sheep shoulder blade with a cinder block can't stop a 5.56 frangible round, fuck it, dude. I don't know what to think anymore, guys. It's like, what is the what's our theory here? What do we believe, guys? What are we supposed to believe at this point? Yeah, somebody said, like, what direction do we go now? Anybody got something good for me? Like, I don't even know what, like, the official narrative's bullshit. The other theories all have holes and problems. But maybe we're going to get something in the trial that shows us like, oh no, actually here is how everything works. Also, who are they getting? Because they're going to have to get a firearms panel, guys. They're going to have to get a ballistics firearms panel, just like they did with MLK, just like they've done like any big controversial murder case that has questionable ballistics to it. They're going to have an expert firearms panel on that court case. And what the fuck is that expert firearms panel going to find? How is an expert firearms panel going to come back and be like, yep, it was a standard 30-06 with a standard 170 grain Full Metal Jacket round. And it just happened to be a 1 in 100,000 fucking chance. And this was the time it happened. Charlie Kirk's neck. It turns out we were all wrong. Andrew, what's his name? Alex Colvett. Turns out Alex Colvett was right all along. Charlie Kirk did in fact have a steel neck. Maybe that's the truth. Maybe the truth really is going to turn out to be Charlie Kirk is the Man of Steel. He's Superman. And we just didn't know it. That's about where we're at. Because I mean, maybe he is. Maybe I got to throw my hands up and go, you know what? And Alex Colvett, Andrew Colvett, Aaron Colvett, whatever the fuck his name is. Maybe he's right. It's the steel neck. Because at this point, obviously wasn't a frangible round. We had another viewer on the channel that went out and tried out low grain rounds, 110 grain rounds. Also blew straight through everything. All of the austere rounds that you were told from other content creators, the low grain rounds, the frangible rounds, those have all been tested now. And they all go straight through everything as well. So I don't know, guys. I mean, maybe let's get like a list of, let's get a good poll here. Let's see if we can see how many options I can give us. Let's go. Which theory? All right, we got official. We got to go with the official FBI narrative. We got a couple other ones here. I think I can only do 4. All right. 4 choices. You can choose from one of 4 here. Let's see what you guys think. We got the official FBI narrative, the shot from behind narrative, the electrocution narrative, and the exploding mic narrative. Maybe there's a mix of different ones here. I don't fucking know. But let me see what you guys think. What do we think? Oh, he's not dead? I think he's dead. I do think he's dead, personally. Let me know what you guys think. Wow, John Bray's theory is crushing. And then you've got Range Day Bros theory, Rob O'Neill's theory, second place. The official FBI narrative in last place. Of course, as always. Cash Patel coming in last. He definitely was not in the coffin. He definitely was not in the coffin. I agree with you on that. I mean, I should have put I don't know, but I don't know probably would have had 98%. And I don't know, guys. I've never been one from the very beginning of this to tell you guys I know what happened, because I don't. But I can look at all of the theories and find problems with them, and then also find compelling things with them. Except for the official narrative. There's just really nothing. There's really like nothing compelling about the official narrative and all problems. But am I drinking ginger tea? I don't know what type of tea it is, but the wife brought it to me. Okay. That's going to wrap it up for the regular scheduled live tonight, guys. We're going to hit the super chats next. Thank you very much for being with me on this one. This was a fun one. You know, we haven't had any, like, some good theories, some good, demonstrations like Triggersmart put out just recently with that frangible round test. That frangible round test showed us a lot. It showed us a lot, especially since he used a round so much less powerful than what Tyler Robbins supposedly used, and still just blew through everything. So, all right. Hope you guys enjoyed this one tonight. And we're going to move into the super chats. Also, make sure, pin comment, go follow, go subscribe to Triggersmart. Both videos tonight from the live were his videos. I love his content. Great dude. So make sure we support him as well. He's another look at things logically, look at things rationally type of guy. That's why I like his content. All right. So let's jump into the super chats. And if you want to stick around for the super chats, great. If not, if you're just here for the regular scheduled live, that's awesome as well too, guys. Thank you very much for being here. All right, let's finish out the super chats, and we will be on our way with our night. Okay. Here we go. Could some sort of exploding implant injected under his skin while he was drugged even be possible? I've never heard this theory, but wondered. Shit, dude. Again, as crazy as everything sounds at this point, fuck it. Why not? Because nothing else makes sense. If you could replace replace the copper, if you replace their copper, a steel projectile with a steel one, God, come on, brother, get it together. If you replace their copper, a steel projectile with a steel one, would you not get a close-up projectile? Face the shape charge towards the back. The housing would blow apart, hitting him in the neck. Brother, love you, but I'm not sure what you were trying to say there. I think we can all at least agree on one thing. It wasn't a 30-06. Would have sounded like a cannon in that little area. Everyone barely moved. They did barely move. And not only that, everybody I've seen talk about it, including people who were in the front row that I've talked to personally, said it sounded like a 22 round or suppressed 5.56 round. But who knows? Real bays. Oh shit, dude. I just used I used some of your clips. Yeah, man. Your stuff's fucking great, dude. Guys, if you don't follow Real Bays on Instagram, I don't know if he's on other platforms as well. He was the one we showed his his Erica Kirk clip on Tuesday. I love your stuff, buddy. I don't know if you're still here. You guys should check him out. He's super funny. Happy New Year's, Nate. Someone told me you played a clip of mine on your show yesterday and just want to say thank you, wishing you and your family the best in the year. Yes, we did, man. You got hella funny stuff, man. If you guys aren't following Real Bays, make sure you go follow him. He's got some hilarious takes on Erica Kirk as well. Thank you very much, brother. Appreciate you being here. Perhaps instead of looking at the wound, what was down by Charlie's feet below the table, this would explain the trajectory heart into the brainstem. There was that trap door, right? That, I don't know, they paved over it. So who knows at this point? AJ says we need a spreadsheet table that compares all the theories and the Fed slop theory. There's so many of them now. So many. Gas outside, shape charge would follow the path of least resistance of the collar of the shirt. Out the collar of the shirt, anything spelled with gas would go towards the neck. Yeah, the gas explosion or the gas expelling would, but also you've got all that frag that's blowing out from the explosive itself going off. And that you would expect to see to rip and tear up the shirt. But again, here's the other thing, guys, is typically when we're talking about EFPs or shape charges, and we're talking about big bastards that they use to blow holes in tanks and kill all the soldiers inside. So I have no idea what a little miniature EFP would do personally. So maybe we would see something like that. Again, I don't know, because it's not something, we're not, the Taliban weren't, handing us EFP pagers and telling us to wear them and stuff, right? So shape charge is just as impossible as the 30-06. 5-728 from below is the only possible shot physically. EOD tech. Well, you do know more than the rest of us do when it comes to IEDs and shape charges, so I'm not going to disagree with you. I'm not going to disagree with anybody that's an expert. I'll tell you that. The heart stopping equating to the lack of blood makes a lot of sense coming from an elk hunter that used a 30-06 and that narrative made sense. Thanks, Nate. Yeah. So again, the fact that we only see, Adam was the one who, tested out the low grain rounds, 110 grain rounds, 120 grain rounds, I believe. And, also found that 120 grain small 30-06 rounds, not the casing itself, but the actual, projectile, smaller, also would blow straight through everything. So frangible rounds blow through everything. Low grain rounds blow through everything. Who knows? Okay, Adam says, in my opinion, the frames were compressed in the upload of the videos to X. That's why you can see the projectile wound at the same frame. Interesting. Yeah, that's another problem is like each time it gets shared, it gets recompressed by YouTube and X and different stuff like that. So the fidelity of it gets worse and worse. The blood was a maroon color, so must have been from the jugular vein. Blood from an artery is usually a pinkish color. True. Arterial blood typically is foamy, pinkish, things like that. But it's hard to tell on camera. You know what I mean? But the consistency of it didn't look like a high-powered rifle round to an arterial one, for sure. There's 5 of us, started a charity for American families in trouble. Only got 700 for Xmas, made 7 kids Xmas. America Youth helping donations going for 1K. Well, I love to hear it, man. If you can help your local communities, that's great to hear. Me and JD did that as well for Christmas. with the help of some of the viewers. There's a bunch of debris left on the floor in the vehicle, lots of little chips, mic chips. Yeah, we talked about that possibility. I don't know what the hell that is, but it does go along with John Bray's theory. Nemi says Europeans founded the USA. How do you lose your morals so fast? Tactical gas time factor, CIA cooperation. USA morals and minus 150. World average 50. Europe plus 50. 150. Hey, brother, have you looked at Europe? You might want to take a look around at the United Kingdom. I think you're from Sweden, Scandinavia somewhere. Bro, y'all are getting conquered, homie. So you gotta relax a little bit with how America's doing. You gotta worry about Europe yourself right now. I'll tell you that. Question from Kentucky. I'm assuming. How would you hide the explosion sound? Well, to John Bray's point, EFP does not make a whole lot of sound. So you actually need to replicate the sound of the high-powered rifle round more than anything. Oh, look at that. Somebody just sent me an apology for a hit piece they did on me. Huh. I'll have to decide if I want to accept that apology or not. Typically, if you attack my family and post pictures of my family online for no fucking reason, it's probably pretty unlikely I'm going to accept your apology. But, All right, let's keep moving. How does solving how Kirk was killed help find out who killed Kirk? It doesn't, but it does keep our dirty little minds occupied, doesn't it? Yeah, it does keep us busy. It does keep us busy. How does solving how... Oh, we got that one already. What's up, dog? From XJTAC. Love to hear that. Me too. Happy New Year. CK being alive and burning TPUSA down to the ground to hide fraud is about the only thing that makes sense. Yeah, I want to get into the fraud stuff because I know that's big right now. I just haven't had time to dig into it yet because I was working on this episode. Hopefully we do that next week. William says, finally, you were right. Equal and opposite reaction. Shirt shredded. Audio shows no explosive signature. Black plastic was from the chair seat. Interesting. Maybe Man on the Roof just had a speaker that broadcasts the sound of the charge. Simple. I don't think Tyler Robinson had a giant speaker with him. It sounded like a real gunshot. In part 2, John shows vids on the frag to the neck. Oh, he does. Okay. I need to take a look at that. If he actually has, if John Bray's got actual video of frag coming out of the neck, holy shit. That'll be a lot more compelling. I'll tell you that. My theory has 0 holes in it. If it was definitely dinosaurs on a speedboat with silenced Uzis that ricocheted off the moon. Oh, guys, I didn't look. What was the end of the poll on the moon? Do you guys remember? What did we come back with? You got percentages on how many people believe we landed on the moon and how many didn't? 66 what? That we did? 66 no or yes? I didn't see the poll. I moved on to the other poll. 66 believe no, we did not. 34% yes. Got it. I didn't give my opinion on that. No, I don't believe we did. I think it's total horseshit. That's my opinion. I'm a no guy. I do not believe we ever landed on the moon. So I don't even think that's tinfoil. I just think that's common sense at this point. We're talking about the 50s. No technology at all. And supposedly we live streamed the moon landing in 1950. Fuck off. We couldn't even do that today. So not for me. Anyway, keep it moving. Sounds good. Just can't take 100 steps to get me there. Only thing for sure, it didn't happen the way they say. Aloha from Kauai. Thank you, Six's mom. Appreciate you being here every night. Yeah, I'm that way too. I don't know what it is, but I don't believe what they're telling me. Did Tyler's PA leave frangible rounds with the gun? His grandpa? Why the fuck would Tyler's grandpa have frangible rounds? This is the problem. This is the other problem, right? Is like, even if it was old grandpa, why the hell's Tyler Robinson's grandpa have frangible rounds? I don't know. Maybe. But we just saw it doesn't even matter. Because Triggersmart showed us a 5.56 frangible rounds going to blow through that shit anyway. 30-06 round, probably doing just the same. I need to test this. I got to get a hold of some 30-06 frangible rounds at this point. We got to do it. I think Jesse on Fire is doing a test. I think he had to pay like $10 a round, but he got a couple. I think they're testing it out here pretty soon. There's a position in the same trajectory of Tyler's perch. A second shooting team is possible. News crew with tripods and kits and cameras, half the distance, half the muzzle velocity, same trajectory. Yeah, the idea of a professional shooter in a different location, I've never really had a big problem with that theory. I think that theory has a lot of credibility and a lot of weight. I can't prove it because I don't have any evidence, but I do think, I think the fact that we never saw Tyler Robinson on the roof with a gun at all, and somebody took that shot, I think there's actually a lot of possibility that a second professional shooter was involved, and Tyler Robinson's the patsy. If I had like gun to my head, if I had to choose between Tyler Robinson, lone gunman on the roof with a 30-06 that nobody's ever seen him bring to the roof and a backpack that wouldn't fit it, or Tyler Robinson as a patsy with a professional shooter who's offset in a building that you would have never seen if it was someone with a high skill level that knows what to do, I would choose Robinson as a patsy and a professional shooter from a different location. I can't prove it at all, and I probably never be able to prove it, but I would take that theory over the official narrative, gun to my head, personally. I just think it makes way more sense. Nice tattoo, man. Where and who do you see? So I'm in Oregon, an artist named Reed Gacher at Northwest Tattoo. He's me and JD Delays tattoo artist. Great work. I'm actually getting tattooed tomorrow again. We're constantly in there. Great artist. Posted pics and details in your community chat. It tested a 308 varmint ammo fires into a gel block with a deer spine. It stopped all fragments at 7 inches. 308 varmint ammos, gel block with a deer spine. Stopped all fragments at 7 inches. I'm not sure what you mean. We also watched Adam the Angler do this exact same test with 30-06 and it blew straight through everything. So you'd have to send me that video so I could see it. So I know what you're talking about. I'm not sure what you mean by at 7 inches. But yeah, maybe. It's much more likely that it's a varmint round than it was a real 30-06 round for sure. I'm not going to disagree with you on that. Robert says, good discussion as well, or as usual, brother. Occam's razor, FBI narrative is ridiculous, but a huge conspiracy with many people involved is silly as well. Yeah, and that's what makes it so hard. What makes it so hard is when the official story makes no sense. Where do we go from there? We're just filling in gaps and we have no evidence to support it. I mean, we just don't, because we're not the FBI. We do the best with what we got. Let's say the official narrative is true. It doesn't take a security specialist to know to check a roof. So frustrating, the lack of transparency. Well, supposedly TPUSA did know about that roof, as Brian Harpool told us. They just decided not to fucking worry about it because some police officer gave him a thumbs up in a text messages weeks before. So we figured he was good. Because that's what solid security work looks like, for sure. I think it's as simple as the FBI incompetently covering for whomever shot him. It was never a 30-06, not buying any of the other theories, because why not just kablooey him in the face then? Why make it complicated? Let me look at this. I think it's as simple as the FBI incompetently covering for whoever shot him. It was never 30-06, not buying it. So, again, I don't have a problem with him being shot. Yeah, like I just talked about, from a different location, a smaller caliber rifle round, Tyler Robinson the patsy. I have no problem with that theory at all. I just can't make the Tyler Robinson theory work at the moment with the evidence that I have. Some people say they can, but my brain, cognitively and logically and rationally, looks at the situation and says, that's not true. I could be wrong. I could 100% be wrong. And the FBI narrative could be 100% true. Maybe. But I don't believe that. I don't personally believe that. So, what are we going to do? There was likely 2 shaped charges, round sequenced together, like a pager event. One charge was different in a different location. That's getting kind of complicated, but maybe. There's a good video from Paramount Tactical saying it might have bounced off body armor. Bro, this is old. Old. No, we debunked the body armor 3 months ago. I actually did the video that debunked it. And that was 3 months ago, homie. Yeah. He didn't have any body armor. We know that for sure. Love your work on this. Comment got clipped. Well, thank you, Shepherds. That's a good looking kitty right there, by the way. Thanks for all the content. Really appreciate all the hard work. Thank you, Cam. Appreciate it. William says, why does a miracle death take precedence over a miracle birth around Xmas and the holidays? We didn't go to the moon. I don't know. Love your work. Comment got clipped. Thank you. If Nick was Israel funded, it would make sense. Massive distraction that Trump and the FBI can swoop in and be heroes. Oh, Nick Shirley. Yeah, I got to look into this, guys. I wouldn't be surprised at all. Considering, you know, you got Cam Higbee running around and he's the biggest fucking 7K simp that exists. So if Nick was too, then I wouldn't be surprised, guys. But again, I need to look into it because there's hit pieces going all over the place, right? Just because a hit piece came out that said Nick Shirley is a 7K club, I don't know. I need to look. But is it likely? Probably at this point. Probably. But, you know, I do like his content, but if it's all fucking Fed op shit and 7K club shit, then yeah, we'll find that out too, for sure. Six's mom, a 6-year-old who watched it live. No, as a 6-year-old, Six's mom, you're not 6. Did you miss something here? As a 6-year-old who watched it live. No, we didn't land on the moon. Oh, you were 6 years old when we landed on the moon. Okay, I get it. Aloha from Kauai. PS. If so, why can't we go back? Great point. Okay, I thought you were saying you're 6 years old. Now that I got your whole text, that makes way more sense. Yeah, you guys, they live streamed it. They live streamed it to the American people on black and white televisions. Okay. Okay, sure you did. Think about this, guys. President Nixon called the astronauts from a landline telephone. Have you guys seen that clip? He calls and starts talking to the astronauts on a landline fucking telephone. So, come on. Great psyop, but yeah. All right. Not surprised a Green Beret is so gullible. Y'all died for nothing in the stand, and now you're an expert. Oh, my God. Edgelord. Bro, you're so edgy. Shit, you got me. Me and the boys, we all died for nothing. Whoa. Look, man, I don't fucking come to Chevron and talk shit to you for fucking spending your life working for fucking Jews pumping gas. So calm down, okay? Calm down. All right. Juju gifted 5 Valhalla VFT memberships. Thank you very much, brother. Appreciate you. Charlie had Kevlar vocal cords. Yeah, CIA heart attack gun in the 70s. Think they know what they have now. Charlie is a high-profile figure. Secret devices exist. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, guys. I would have never even, gave credit to the exploding microphone theory except for the fact that, the whole Israel pager bombs, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, fuck. They do have shit like that. They 100% have shit like that. Kevlar vocal cords is a pretty funny joke, though. It's been long enough that you can tell a joke like that. Jordan says a tax revolt is where we are at right now. How many are willing to go that far? If you won't consider that, the fuck do you think you're going to do with your 2A? Well, what am I going to do with my 2A? I'm going to use my 2A to kill anybody that tries to break into my home or assault my family. However, if it's the government and they show up, they're going to shoot me in the fucking face if I don't pay my taxes. So, you know, the government's the biggest mafia in the world, homie. Just saying. I'd love to stand up to the government and not pay my taxes, but I don't have the balls to do it because I know the government doesn't give a fuck and they want their money and they'll make sure they get it. They're not going to do anything for you with it. They're going to take all that money and send it to foreign countries, but they're going to fucking make sure they get it for sure. Joe says, yeah, but Tyler, why did you take the shot? Just saying, Nate, seriously, why? Well, we don't know if he did. We know he was on the roof. Well, actually, we don't even know that. There's not even a good picture or video that shows that Tyler Robinson was ever even on the roof at this point. We know there was a 20-ish-year-old white kid on the roof. That's all we know. Maybe it was Tyler. I think it's possible Tyler was on the roof for sure. But I'd never seen him. I haven't seen him on the have any of you seen Tyler Robinson on the roof with a gun yet at all? Anybody seen a picture of that heading to the roof? Because I haven't seen it. I ain't seen that yet. 3.5, 4 months later, and I ain't seen Tyler Robinson on the roof with a gun yet. So somebody needs to show me that. Sorry, can't afford Nate, or can't afford more, Nate. Thank you. No, hey, guys, again, do not donate money if you need the money, please. Okay, I love y'all. Just you guys being here, part of the community, is more than enough. If you zoom in on the lapel mic and slow it down, you can see clear as day. Their mic just into his neck. I'm shocked that people are still asking how. The assassin team were the guys that rushed to check him. The lapel mic doesn't work for me. The exploding microphone theory, I think, is much, much more compelling. The one up here, that one's never worked for me. Just Newtonian physics say that's not possible. But John Bray's microphone theory, I think, has a lot of potential credibility. There's a lot of issues, like we talked about, but it's way more credible than the lapel mic one, in my opinion. Nate, glad to be here. Sabby Sab's video today was absolutely crazy covering the TPUSA. Covering TPUSA. I haven't seen that. I will take a look at that. That's probably going to go into what we're going to talk about next week. Why is my pen not working? We're going to cover some TPUSA corruption next week. All right. Thank you for that. Okay. Cough drops exploded by brown shirt guy and symbols to time the shot. Yeah, maybe exploding cough drops like down into his throat and then it blew out. Yeah. Why not at this point? Fuck it. Bobby's here. Bobby says Tyler and Lee Harvey worked alone. We will never be told the truth, Nate. Yeah. Yeah. Tyler and Lee Harvey definitely both acted alone. For sure, Bobby. AJ says, imagine the amicus curiae, I can't say that, for harms having to corroborate in court. What does this mean, guys? I'm too dumb. AJ, what's this mean? What's amicus curiae? This sounds like Latin. Somebody let me know what AJ's talking about. I'm too stupid to know big words like that. Who's got it? I'll put it back up. Amicus curiae. What is a curiae? It means, friend of the court. Oh, the experts. Got it. Yep. That's what I was talking about. The ballistics experts. 100% AJ, agree with you on that. I have no idea. Well, their job, here's the thing though, the ballistics experts' job is not there to prove the prosecution's theory. They're there to look at the evidence and give their expert opinion on what happened. Good luck with that one. I want to see that panel for sure. Patrick says Nate, it was fake. That's your theory. No holes. I mean, it was fake that's actually like, an easier theory. Not a lot of moving pieces. Well, actually, there is a lot of moving pieces. You got to have a squib. You got to have blood bags. You got to have everybody in on it. You got to get Charlie to Israel or wherever the fuck he's going. So there's a lot to that one too. Jason says, I can't believe my joke of the Ant-Man technology is technically still on the table. Any updates on the weird hands in the coffin? No. The only updates we have is that's not Charlie Kirk in the coffin. I refuse to believe that. 0% chance that was Charlie Kirk in the coffin. His hands is just no. His hands are not half the size of Erica Kirk's. They didn't shrink. That's not a thing. I don't know who was in that coffin, but it wasn't Charlie. Hi, Nate. Regarding the moon landing pole, although it was a great feat, there were no new physics to achieve it, just extreme engineering. The technology we use today requires new physics, quantum. Oh, I see. Old technology, old 1950s technology. It was just good engineering. That's how we pulled it off. But we can't do that in 2025 because quantum physics is too complicated. Okay. I don't think that's how technology works, homie. Somebody said we forgot how. Yeah, for sure. We just we lost it. It was lost in translation. The technology, it's gone. Oh boy. Okay. Maybe. As far as I'm concerned, getting shot has completely been debunked, period. The fact there's no exit wounds, to your point, like no exit wound, it's very hard to, we can't explain. Like there's things that we see that look like a high-powered rifle, the cavitation in his neck, but at the same time, we don't see a lot of the other anatomical signs that we would have seen, again, especially with the 30-06. So to your point, there really is no proof from what we've seen that was a gunshot. Not yet. See, I showed a heart attack gun to Congress before. This is true. This is true. It's like some type of EMP gun. This is true. I don't know if that's what they hit Charlie with, because again, you got to explain getting shot in the neck by something. But at this point, how is irrelevant. Only who matters now. Yeah, but the thing is for me, you can't answer who until you answer how. And we haven't answered how. So who? I don't fucking know. I've got my suspicions. I have my suspicions on who. But I try to keep that to myself. So I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to get in trouble, so I don't say it out loud. I keep that to myself. I keep my suspicions to myself on who is behind it. But I think I have a pretty good idea who is behind it. But I'm not going to say it out loud. You guys can probably guess. Assassins look for patterns, cough drops. Always there, even in the car. Yeah. Why is this still a topic? America First, tax strike 2026. Brother, I wish I could be with you on that. You know what's going to happen? Everybody's going to tax strike. Here's what's going to happen. Everybody's going to tax strike. I'm not going to have the balls to do it. I'm going to pay my taxes. And then what's going to happen is the IRS is going to be like, fuck it. You guys got us. Whoever didn't pay taxes, you're good. America First. And I'm going to go, fuck. You should have had the balls. That's what's going to happen. Or you're all going to go to jail. One of the two of those is going to happen. We'll have to just wait and see. All right. Police have said guys on Pop Shot don't drop. Wait, police have said guys on Pop Shot don't drop. All tests are relaxed muscle. What if he was shocked while shot? I don't know what you mean by Pop Shot don't drop, unfortunately. Check out the CIA ice bullet gun for easy assassination. Ice bullet? I haven't heard of an ice bullet. I have heard of the sort of EMP heart attack gun. I haven't heard of an ice bullet. Interesting. I'll look that up. Thank you. Seriously, looked up the heart attack gun on Google. Yeah, I am well aware. That one I know about. Whatever the weapon, it was. You know? I'm not going to read that out loud, but could they have used the PA system to make a 30-06 sounds and the way one button sets off charges at the same time? No, the problem with the PA system, it's coming from every different direction. So you're going to hear that gunshot. Everybody's going to hear that gunshot from different directions. So I don't think the PA system is a good way. And again, you've got to time it. You've got to time the gunshot on the PA system at the exact same time that an explosive goes off. And I'm telling you guys, tactically, in situations like this with firearms, it's not that easy to do stuff like this. In theory, you're like, oh yeah, it could happen. And then like on the ground trying to coordinate that with a bunch of people. Nah, it's just a lot easier to shoot somebody in the face. But we also don't know if he got shot, so fuck it. Candace's OG gang has been defending you when they try to lump you in with the PSYOP angles. We know you have good intentions and genuine concern. Yeah, I appreciate it. We still have a ton of Candace fans that are supporting me on the channel, and I appreciate all you guys. You're the best. Thank you for the support and sticking with us. And again, I've said 100 times, I've never been out to get Candace. I got lumped in with a bunch of shit just because I was after the source, right? And it is what it is. It's not a big deal. But I do support you guys, or I do appreciate you guys sticking with me and supporting. Because again, I've had nothing negative to say about Candace, and I still don't. So, even though a lot of people want me to, but it's just not going to happen. Definitely the means of neutralization. In a hit job like this, you ensure no survival with plan Bs or sus. Public sends messages. JFK Oliver Stone. Yeah. Attica or Adelie Cantor, $20 from Australia. We love Aussies here. No comment though. Thank you. Yes, John has a video of Frag coming out of the wound. I need to see that. I'm going to look that up because if that's the case, I wish I would have had that, guys. I wish I would have had that. Because that's going to make it look super compelling. Oh shit, Buff Like Jesus, what's up, brother? The big dono says, Happy New Year's, buddy. I'm going with the Lord of the Rings theory. It was Morgoth. Oh, see, this is a real Lord of the Rings fan. Guys, anytime you get a real Lord of the Rings fan in the chat, you got to know it. Yes, it was Morgoth and the Ankalagan, the black with the corrupted railgun. We still need Wang merch and Ranger panties. Oh, my wife just got me some new Ranger panties. Oh, guys, announcement. I do have something like this coming, actually. Also, trolls come up with something better than no audio. Go buy your wife's boyfriend dinner. Oh, Jesus. Buff Like Jesus. Hey, so guys, actually, you guys know I've been with Barbell Apparel for a long time, but Barbell Apparel is going to start doing a VFT line of clothing. So we're going to have our own line of clothing. So they got badass stuff like Ranger panties, workout shorts, things like that. So we're working on that right now. So that should be super cool to have my own line with a clothing company, and Barbell being the best clothes ever. So we got that coming soon. Yeah, so we got the VFT Barbell merch coming soon. But thank you, brother. Appreciate you, Buff Like Jesus. Appreciate you always being here, especially 10th Mountain Boys. You love that. Nemi, Switzerland. I thought it was Sweden. I knew you're somewhere in Scandinavia. We're not part of the glorious EU. That's true. You're right. Agree. The UA has become a shithole. How many U.S. soldiers were officially killed by the IDF? I don't know. Officially, I don't know. Unofficially, probably a lot. John Bray last video was smoke coming out of the t-shirt. Okay, I got to watch that. I'll look it up. Again, I hadn't seen his new one before I watched it. If you're looking for Frangible 30-06 rounds, go to DRT Ammunition. Yeah, okay, I'm going to write that down because I have been trying to find them. Thank you for that. We'll look those up. If I can get a Frangible round test out. Yeah, I know. Yeah, not Scandinavia. I know. Close enough. Whatever. Close enough. Whatever. Switzerland, Denmark, Finland. Same shit. Close enough. Actually, Switzerland's not technically Scandinavia, so you're not actually as cool as we are, but it's close. It's close. Nemi will hate if I call him not a real Viking, though. Just kidding, buddy. Appreciate you always being here, brother. All right. Sabby Sabs talks about how TPUSA fraud was not new news. It was reported years ago. Oh, is this the one we wrote down earlier? Yeah. Sabby Sabs. Got it. I'm going to look that one up because I'm working on TPUSA fraud, and that sounds like a great video for me to watch. Thank you very much for that. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Combat Cass. Your dad's a boomer too. What's his take on the moon landing? I don't think I've ever asked my dad about the moon landing, but now that you brought that up, I 100% am going to ask him. Yeah, that's interesting. I'll have to ask him what his thoughts on the moon landing are. I don't think we've ever talked about the moon landing. I'm going to ask him now, though. Simple is an unidentified fired object. Yeah. A UFO. It might have been a UFO. 1 flinch prior knowledge, 2 sound before wound, no projectile, 3 paved scene, hide absence of blood, 4 shadowed material in the SUV, trunk shot evidence. Yeah, but here's the thing. You'd see the sound. Well, actually, you wouldn't necessarily see the. Actually, hold on. I'd have to do the math on this from 140 yards with a supersonic round. You're right. Actually, you probably would because sound's moving at 1,100 feet per second. 30-06 round. If it's a 30-06 round, is moving at 2,500 feet per second, over twice as fast. So yeah, you probably would have seen the wound before the crack of the round. I'd have to do the math, but you might have a good point there. You might have a point that nobody has thought about. The fact that if you heard the gunshot well before you saw the wound, oof, that's sketchy. I got to do the math on that because that's super interesting. Super interesting. Mathematically. Great one. Definitely going to look into that. One look at this Tyler kid. GMAFB, he did this. Yeah, guys, have you seen how much he looks like Lee Harvey Oswald? It's fucking creepy. Hold on. Oswald Tyler Robinson. Their pic. I know there's a picture of these two fuckers right next to each other. Come on, somebody had it. Why has nobody got it? Oh, here it is. This is fucking so creepy, guys. Let me show you this. Look how creepy this is. That's fucking weird. Isn't that weird? That's Lee Harvey Oswald and Tyler Robinson next to each other. That's fucking weird. God damn, dude. That's when you look at it, there's an even better picture than that too. But yeah. Super weird that the two most prominent patsy assassins in American history look very, very similar. Just saying. Kind of weird. Coincidences, I guess. Went to the moon. They were in a hangar at Cannon Air Force Base, Clovis, New Mexico. Oh my God, Nedra. You just gave me PTSD flare-ups. Clovis, New Mexico, Cannon Air Force Base. I spent so much goddamn time of my career there. Guys, I ended up with my entire ODA in a New Mexico court being tried for poaching charges. Our entire ODA in 2018. It's a long story. But yes, I was there in uniform with my entire ODA in court looking down the barrel of poaching charges. With my entire team for shooting an antelope. It's a long story, guys, but oh my God, Clovis, New Mexico, my absolute fucking nightmare. Go. Oh, okay. I'll tell you guys that story sometime. Actually, this plaque back here, the top one, it's the message from my team, from my ODA. It says, for serving team and country and winning the Battle of the Antelope Court. ODA is Operational Detachment Alpha. It's a Special Forces team. We won. The judge threw it out, and she told us, "Get the fuck out of my courtroom." We were literally about to go to war in Afghanistan in like a month, and the judge was super cool. The judge was like, "What are you fucking?" We had our entire 12 Green Berets in full uniform sitting in court. As I walk up there, it's a long story, but anyway, I'll tell it some other time. But yeah, Cannon Air Force Base, you gave me PTSD from that one. No body, no autopsy, only hearsay. Squib theory aligns. All evidence, including Erica Kirk meeting CIA, yet everyone refuses to doubt on St. Charlie's character. I'm not going after Charlie. I haven't seen anything from Charlie and everything that we've dug up that make me think anything negative of Charlie. TPUSA, however, not the case. Navy vet, love the content. Keep it going, dude. Thank you very much. Appreciate you. Public says official narrative wants us to believe that Tyler went back to get his gun that night per Fox, but they didn't find it until the next morning. LOL. Okay. Yeah. Why didn't he get it then? He went back for it and he was like, nah, fuck it. It's safe here in the chicken coop. To your point. Yeah. That's stupid. You're not stupid. I'm saying the idea that the FBI shoved that down our throats is stupid. Please do a live stream where you actually talk to your audience and debate. Love your show. Yeah, we're talking about doing a members only. I got suggested that yesterday. Members only live stream where we just hang out with the members and take questions and just talk. So I'm probably going to do that here pretty soon. I think that would be a fun thing to do. Again, I'm not, guys, you got to understand when I'm doing these shows, I'm not talented enough to just be reading the chat while I'm also doing this live show, right? I'm focused on bringing you guys the story, doing the clips, bringing in everything, right? So I'm doing a show for you. I can't also, I watch the live chat here and there and I try to see stuff as you guys are saying it while I'm doing the show, but my brain can only handle so much information coming in at one point. You know what I mean? So I appreciate it. It's not that I'm trying to ignore you guys. It's that I'm trying to bring you guys the show. So a lot of work goes into it and, keeping myself on track and focused on what I'm doing. I should link up with Andy Frisella. I should. I love him. We use his clips every week on Tuesday, by the way. I absolutely love his content. I haven't met him yet, though, unfortunately. Do you know why the crowd reacted to the sound from the stage to the back? I don't. I don't. A lot of people have talked about the sound coming from different areas. It's hard. It's hard to know. Because we haven't had what we haven't had is witnesses. Come on shows. But part of that is because they got gag ordered. You know? How the judge gag ordered 3,000 witnesses? That's been part of the problem as well, of why we haven't got any. Oh, Ian just finished. I was going to send everybody his way. That's too bad. That's too bad. We're just about done too. What a god. 10 hours. Whew. I did 8 hours once, and that was brutal. What a beast. Ian's a beast, man. I love Ian, dude. Great guy. All right, let's keep moving. Six's mom says, as someone who is young, you might... Wait, are you talking about me being young, Six's mom? I turned 40 this year. I'm not that young. You might not understand being older and able to live the American dream. Just don't talk shit about veterans. Just say thank you. Well, I appreciate it. I wish I was young, though. I might be young. You might think I'm young. But yeah, I'm turning 40 this year. No, Dan, absolutely fucking not. We're not doing 10 hours a night. I'm still, guys, I'm on the good track of getting healthy again, but we're keeping the live streams at a good 3.5 hours for the next week or so while we get our life back together. No, I'm not challenging Ian's 10-hour stream. That's not going to happen. Berserker says, we know no facts. Literally, trial will be OJ part 2. Basically, if Oswald lived and went to trial, if he makes it to trial, there's still a lot of time. A lot of time to not make it to trial. We'll see. Tyler will become Tyla with trans. Can he race Patsies? Ugh. Please do a live stream where you talk to your audience and debate. Well, you said this earlier, and yeah, we talked about doing that. We'll do one of these in the next couple weeks. I got to figure out how to do the members only live streams so that we can do it. I haven't ever done one of those before. They can't put us all in jail. Purple solidarity. No, but they can kill everybody. Governments have done that by the way. Look at the Soviet Union. They just killed 40 million people. It'd be hard to do in America, though, because everyone's got guns. So much, much harder. But CK, not a coffin. Please elaborate. GWAT 11 Bravo Vet. Oh, CK, not in the coffin. Yeah, so there's... we played the clip last night. I don't know if I've got it. Let me see if I've got it close off the top that I could pull up. Let's see. I gotta look through here. Don't remember it is. Maybe I can look it up on Google. Yes, here we go. Found it right here. So you got, let's pull this up. That's so small. I don't like that. I need a bigger one. Come on, where are we at here? These are also creepy. This is so creepy, dude. Ugh, I can't find any good ones here, guys. Anyway. Ugh. Yeah, look, if you want, Google Charlie Kirk in casket and just look at the fact that his hands are half the size of his wife's. And Charlie Kirk's 6'6", and his hands are gigantic. And in every other picture they have together, his hands are twice the size of hers, but not in the coffin. He supposedly shrunk. So, exploding pager, exploding mic, maybe. I was Colonel Mustard in the kitchen with a candlestick. Yeah, Tyler Robinson on the roof with the 30-06, for sure. Maybe. Jenna says might be worth looking into the latest death tech being spruiked at weapons conventions for potentially simple answers options that are not currently yet part of the discourse. Interesting. thought on that, Jenna. SHOT Show might be an interesting one to look for that. I'll be there this year. So I might look around for something like that. We learned today that Mossad gave Nick Shirley the story. Wait, is this real? Mossad gave Nick story? Is this sounds like slop. Like I'm all about believing that Shirley is a 7K club guy, but Mossad gave him the story, and the Republicans Israel paid creators to pump propaganda out. I did a video on it just because it was the biggest story in the news. Nobody fucking paid me money. But Mossad gave Nick Shirley the story. I don't know about that. I think that's a little bit of a stretch. That sounds like counter psyop shit to me. But you could be right. I don't know. I'd have to look into it. I don't know enough about it. I just started learning about this while we've been on the live stream. What do you think about the shot fired into back of four-wheel drive parked four-wheel drive parked next to Charlie? Is this a shot from behind from the trunk? I forget who did that one, but I watched that one and I didn't find it very compelling. I don't think we even covered it. Britt says, I don't know if this has been talked about, but when you were talking about the gun down his pants and his knee bending, the gun went down to his knee, then up to his chest. I want to say this now. We've showed pictures of Tyler Robinson from front and back, walking upstairs, both legs bent at 90 degrees, no gun on his back, no gun on his front. There's no gun, not in skinny jeans. 30-06 is gigantic. I don't think you understand how big a 30-06 with a scope on it is. No, he did not have those in his skinny jeans, front or back. That's a 100% no. Nobody is arguing against that. Nobody is arguing against that. Even the official narrative people aren't arguing against that. There's some official narrative people that are arguing that you can see him running away with it in the towel. I don't see that, but not on the way to the roof. We haven't seen any proof of that at all. Not yet. And again, maybe there's some video out there that we haven't seen yet that we might get. But as far as we have it now, we haven't seen any proof that he ever had a gun on the roof. Large caliber compressed air rifle, super quiet, accurate, will not penetrate, will not have recoil as described by witness. I've seen this one, but now you have to explain the gunshot. And again, now we're getting super complicated. Why are you going to use a compressed air rifle and then also have a 30-06 or some high-powered rifle that you got to shoot at the same time? Why not just use a regular gun? You know what I mean? Maybe, but again, why make it complex when you don't need to? If you're just going to shoot him anyway, just use a regular gun, my opinion. Buff Like Jesus says it was Hillary Clinton with an air rifle from the moon or an exploding hard drive. At this point, it could have been Hill Dog. She's been behind allegedly about a good 50 to 100 people dying, so would not be shocked. Allegedly, we don't want to get sued. After listening to Nick Irving talk about what the body does, there's no way a 30-06 doesn't blow you all the way every way. Time in eye shoots 308 SR25. Yeah. I agree with you on that. From what I understand, the official story on MLK was that he was shot with 30-06 in the jaw and the bullet stayed in his body as well. However, what is the problem with that? Do you guys know what the big problem with the MLK story is? Any historians in the chat that know the big problem with the 30-06 story with MLK? Somebody, let me see who's a historian here. What was the big issue with that in the trial? What could they never prove? Somebody will get it. No, not yet. Come on. Somebody get it. Come on. There we go. Got it. So the problem, there we go. The ballistics didn't match. Yep. 100% true. So the problem was they could never ballistically match the round that was found in MLK to the 30-06 that was used. So they had the best they had, but they never actually matched the round to the gun. The ballistic panel wasn't able to do it. So just another one of those things. He's not dead. People kept trying to kill him. So yeah, maybe not. The problem is, like, where is he then? Is he going to go live in Israel for the rest of his life? He's 6'6". He's not an easy person to maybe he's with Epstein. He's on Epstein's island. I don't fucking know. All we are seeking, King, is the truth from one soldier to another. Love Like Jesus says it was Harambe with a banana crossbow from the trapdoor. You know, the thing about Harambe, guys, it almost feels like the death of Harambe really spurred on all of the fucking bullshit that we've dealt with over the last 5-6 years. COVID, everything followed the death of Harambe. It's almost like Harambe being killed was a punishment. We've been punished by God for Harambe being killed. He's only 6'4"? Really? I thought he was a lot taller than that. He's only an inch taller than me. I thought Charlie was 6'6". I didn't know he was that. I thought he was taller than that. Maybe I'm wrong though. But I thought Charlie was much taller than that. I could be wrong. Murder says, I want to know what Tyler's got to say. Yeah. Don't we all? I'm not sure we're ever going to hear from him, though. Maybe. But didn't they gag 3,000 people? Let's go. Yes, they did. That's why we haven't heard from any of the witnesses on any podcast to be able to find out anything about this. 6'5"? Okay. Close. All right. He's a big boy. Big boy. Hard to hide a 6'5" guy. That's it for sure. TPUSA Advisory Board member Paul Valley in leadership at Fort Huachaca per Trigger PSYOPs specialist. Yeah, no, I've completely moved on from that story. Everybody else can have fun with that story. It's going to be a non-starter, non-existent in 30 days from now. So we're moving on. Small drums were seen on video at time in correct direction. Prone drum projectile. Look at Andril, Hades plane, Isra are connected. Joint ops, CIA, Mossad. I don't think, I don't know. That's a lot of moving pieces, but maybe. Georgia boys checking in. And by the way, my dumbass didn't notice the new ink till now. Immaculate. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you being here. Appreciate you. And thank you for the compliment. Hideous says 1,200 years ago, my people felt it was better to live on a frozen volcanic island in the middle of the North Atlantic Ocean and left Europe. Iceland. Those are the real Vikings right there. Those are the real Vikings right there. The Icelandic Vikings for sure. Oh, Real Bays. This is, Real Bays. If you're still here, it's your clip. That's what I wanted to pull up. I'm going to pull your, fuck, I'm not logged into Instagram right now. Hold on. I have his clip. Let's see if I can. Let's make me. I'm not logged in. What the fuck? This computer. I want to play this clip for you guys. Let's pull up Real Bays' stuff. All right, there we go. Where is it at? He's got the one that we were talking about using the casket. Let's pull up Real Bays' stuff. Bays, if you're here, where is it? Where's the casket one? Is it further down here? Is it this one?
Going around.
No, it's not that one. Bays, are you here? How far back is it? Is he in here? I want to show this clip because it's fucking hilarious. Haven't seen anything from him yet. Where are you at? Are you in here, Real Base? Yeah, where was the Erica Kirk in the casket one? How far back is that? Is that how far back in your channel is it? Stand by, guys. To get the answer here. Come on, bro. You pinned it? Okay. Refresh. There it is. This is the one.
America.
This is
Miss America.
This is fucking hilarious. What? This is the casket.
Now that Erica, Miss America, is finally opening her mouth and she's getting caught in the lies. And she's basically saying everything that you would expect her to say if there was a conspiracy. And every single piece of evidence, every single factor that's happened since Charlie Kirk has died, out of the government, out of Turning Point USA, and out of the donors, seems to raise the probability that this was an inside job. But now that...
But as you can see, yeah, this creepy ass kissing the tiny hands and everything in it. Yeah, that's the wrong one. You had one, It was a comedy one you had. That's a good one too, though. All right, I'll hit a couple super chats here while Braze, if you find the one I'm talking about, pin it, and then I'll pull that one back up. All right. Okay, here we go. I believe I talked about the other night when no way Shirley broke that story on his own. Definite no way intelligence doesn't know. I think he's a plant or being used. He's from Utah, LDS. Did a missionary January 6th. I'll say this, guys. I'm gonna give you guys credit because I fucking watched Nick Shirley when I was in Portland at the Antifa riots. That dude's got brass balls. Like, he was off by himself in the center of like fucking Antifa people doing crazy shit. Not to say that he's not a psyop or anything like that, but I will say I watched him doing shit that like I wouldn't want to do by myself. So he is a ballsy boy. Let's see, did go back to this. Oh, whoops.
But now that
oh, this is
look
the
at
one.
those hands.
Yeah. Okay, Bray posted it. Let's pull it up. All right, this is the one. This is the one I was talking about. This is where he nailed it.
Look at those hands. Look at images 4 and 5.
They are.
How much bigger Charlie's hands are than Erica's. Then look at the hand sizes in 1, 2, and 3. This is what I was talking about earlier. This is exactly what I was talking about. You tell me.
Shabbat shalom.
Hold on, I gotta hear it again.
Shabbat shalom. I'd always say, baby, I don't care what time you get home.
Is anyone else surprised that Erica Kirk didn't care what time Charlie got home? Just saying. And you see the difference? We just listened to Charlie speak.
Oh.
It was inspiring. It was moving. Listening to him speak about Israel and about the Jewish religion made me fast for Yom Kippur. I don't get that feeling when I listen to Erica.
Yep.
Like, both things can be true. Both
Yep.
things can be true. I think she's just an actress. I'm not falling for it. Look at those hands.
Yup. Yeah. That shit, that casket shit is so weird. That's go guys, if you're not already following Real Bays, go follow him on Instagram. It's got hilarious stuff. I love your stuff, man. I watch your stuff all the time. All right. Okay, let's keep moving. Did he have a chest wound and or concave chest? As a nurse, I wouldn't be surprised seeing a concave chest when they did chest compressions in the car. So supposedly at the hospital that yes, he did. And to your point, Carly, this is possible if they were trying to do, chest compressions and CPR, maybe the concave is just, but I mean, Charlie's a giant dude. So the odds that they like smashed his entire chest in. Also, if we're talking about John Bray's theory where he took a shape charge round to the chest, like, it's not going to be concave. It's going to be a hole. It's going to be a hole through his entire body. So you would see that for sure. But if it was just to your point, just that his chest was like his sternum was broken, that would be much more likely just from something like CPR to your point. What do you think happened to CK? I don't know. Fucking no. 4 months later, and I'm still not ready to give my own projection on it, I guess. I don't know. I don't want to tell you guys I think I know when I don't. I just don't think we have the evidence, and the evidence that we do have doesn't make any fucking sense. So I don't know. Let's repeat, assassins don't use frangible rounds. Oh, great point. Also, we talked about this before too, is if you want to make sure you assassinate someone, to Public's point here, you don't use the weakest possible round. You want to use a high-powered round you're guaranteed is going to kill the guy. But anyway, just another good point. All right, last one, actually. Sorry I sent that twice about debating. More money for you. No, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. It's all good. All right, we made it through. All right, a couple things. Guys, again, make sure if you didn't go subscribe to Triggersmart, make sure you do that. Fantastic. Go follow Real Bays on Instagram as well. He's still in here. Yeah, I'm compromised for sure. This entire episode is exactly what the FBI wanted you to hear. This is exactly what the FBI wanted you to hear. Is a guy that has been debunking the FBI's bullshit for 4 straight months. That's the best type of Fed. That's the best type of Fed. Is the guy who debunks all the Fed's bullshit. They love that. Kash Patel. I'm Kash Patel's guy. If you guys if you guys are followers of the channel, you know how much the FBI loves Nate. Nate's Kash Patel's favorite guy in the world for sure. Dan Bongino and Pam Bondi and Kash Patel love me. I'm their favorite Fed for sure. Imagine thinking that. I honestly, guys, I'm constantly worried about I'm going to have my door kicked in by the FBI because of how much I fucking trash. How much I trash the feds. That at some point they're just going to kick this door in the middle of a live stream and drag me out in cuffs. Be like, nope, you did one too many Kash Patel videos, buddy. You're fucking headed to the slammer. Enough's enough. we're sick of your shit. So, you love that. Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, reverse psychology. That's what it is, man. I mean, I could be like a crazy counterfed. I watched Black Scout Survival. I don't know him, but I'd like to meet him. He seems like a good dude. All right, guys, we did it. Another good stream, another good 3.5 hour stream. We've been keeping these at a good, reasonable. You know. Where does the Valhalla come from? My family's from Sweden, and so I like Viking culture. And I'm a big Scandinavian boy with a big beard. So it's not much more complicated than that. We just family's from Scandinavia. My family's from Sweden. Love Viking culture. And that's it. That's all there is to it. Nothing more than that. Okay. So that's going to do it, guys. Thank you all so much for sticking with me for this entire stream. This was a really fun one to do. What do we got coming up? Let's see. What video was I going to do? I got a video on Pam Bondi coming that calling for her to be finally fired. I've got what else I got? Probably something else. And then we got the Tuesday night political live stream. Should be a fun one coming up on Tuesday as well. So thank you all so much. And I will catch you guys in the next live stream. Have a good night. Thanks, everybody.